welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on the forums.
This is Parker. Go by Dr. Mantis Toboggan, MD, on forums.
This is Jeremy. I now go by Rogue is the best X-Men on every forum. I've created a special hashtag Rogue is best X-Men / fuck Parker.
Nice. Well, it's funny because I would assume that would have been taken after last week.
It was taken by me.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You were just first one there.
That was me.
Got
Boom.
it.
In.
All right. Cool.
First.
All right. Well, thank you for joining. If you were considering not listening anymore because of how absolutely appalling Parker is as a human being, I understand, but we ask that you don't. Please message me, and we'll punish Parker in some way for you, so you'll stay. Also, probably don't listen to the pre-ramble this week. If you didn't like what he said last week.
I do.
He's just a small, angry, biased person. Don't worry about it.
Why? I don't. Okay. I have opinions, and I think
know
that's against
the
the
problem.
rules. I think
that's why everyone keeps getting upset.
That's
with you.
against the rules. That's my big. I don't know what I thought.
All right. We have 3 announcements today, which is our above-average amount of announcements for today. First off, Parker, you are down to 233 remaining probation episodes after today.
All right.
Although I can't believe you made it through last episode with no extras, so
I know.
They'll probably get amended.
I think. No, maybe I'm out of line, but I think that demerits are not for opinions. Am I crazy? I don't think we've ever given one for an opinion. Am I crazy?
I'm pretty sure we have.
Okay. I guess we'll have to go to the videotape.
I think it was the last one you got though. Like you said something really dumb in like episode 49. I was like, I'm giving you a probation for that.
Oh,
You're like, but why?
I think we could give one for being wrong. I think that's definitely happened.
Being wrong.
Yeah, that's where a lot of yours come from.
Oh.
All right, Jeremy is now serving his final probationary episode for missing last week.
Excellent.
You jerk. All right, so that's gone. And then I had a little bit of a fun fact that I'm pretty sure nobody knows that I found out today. Did you guys know that the original Mortal Kombat video game theme song is actually based on old Scandinavian church song?
This sounds like a setup for a joke.
I thought everyone knew that.
No. Yeah.
That's common knowledge among my house.
Yeah.
My housemates.
It's also referred to as a Finnish hymn.
What is stupidest thing I've heard today?
Wow.
For 1,000.
There you go.
That was a good one.
A Finnish hymn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ. You have been... Oh, John Spartan, you have been given 2 credits. Just salutations.
Disagulations.
Holy shit. Desagulations.
Ooh.
All right. So with that, I guess we'll let Parker talk more.
All right.
Parker, you got anything for us today?
I got some news. News. Okay. So if you thought the last episode was all about news, then you ain't seen nothing yet. There's news. First thing, we do have leaked Dormammu's mission, the mission that will come with him, which is referred to
It's a crisis.
as
It's not a mission.
Crisis.
Thank you.
It is a secure 19-threat crisis, referred to as intrusions open across the city as seals collapse. It is on a C map deployment. Players score 1 victory point for each dark portal they secure during the cleanup phase. If you interact with the dark portal, this character drops all objective tokens it is holding, if any. Then you roll a die. If the result is a crit, wild, hit, or defense dice, or block rather, place this character within range 1 of another dark portal on the board. Otherwise, your opponent places this character within range 1 of another dark portal. After being placed, this character suffers 1 damage.
Jesus Christ, I'm lost.
Okay, so the way this works is they're normal secures. You get 1 point for securing them.
Yep.
But if you interact with them, you have a 75% chance of placing yourself within range 1 of one of the other 2 portals. If you fail the 75%, your opponent places you within one of the other 2 portals. Either way, you take a damage.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay,
So
go.
pla-
What do you think?
Place
What's going on?
place within, and it's deployment C. That's the centerline deployment,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, centerline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same as Alien Ship. I actually really like this mission. This is the one they played on the stream over the weekend. It is very interactive. And the other part is if you would go through the portal, I think you drop all of your objective tokens.
It says that. Yep. It says this character
Yeah.
drops all objective tokens. Yes.
Yeah, so that's the first thing that happens. So you can't get an objective and run away with it. But what it lets you do is if your opponent is trying to run away with an objective, you can teleport across the board to go get it.
Right.
And so I think this is primarily going to be used by the person that's losing.
Mm-hmm.
But it actually is pretty cool. Seeing it happen on the table is really awesome because how often does one hit point really matter? Like, how often do you not shake bleed? Like, it's so rare that one damage, when you know it's going to happen, is going to affect the game.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool. And it lets characters like Hulk, who have an abundance of hit points but lack of mobility, like maybe also Black Dwarf, get across the board and stay relevant.
Right.
Oops, I hit a key. I hope I didn't do anything.
Interact does cost a power, right? It does cost a power.
Yeah, normal interacts cost 1 power.
So I also thought like characters that can heal, like giving Wolverine or Sabretooth, Deadpool even more mobility. I mean, Wolverine already has mobility, but Sabretooth and Deadpool only they don't have as much, so that could be cool. Things like
Yeah,
that.
if you think about it, with an injured Wolverine, it increases his damage, and he already doesn't have an extract token.
Right.
I like the fact that it's not 3 victory points. It's only 1. I like the 1-to-1. I like all of them that are 1-to-1
Yeah.
ratios.
It's fair. If you think about it, this is basically Demons Downtown, but turned sideways, and you can teleport instead of get caught on fire.
That's a lot of ways that it's not like Demons Downtown.
Well, but there's not a lot of blue secures that you can only get 3 points.
That's
In that way,
And
it
it's-
is like
it's-
it.
yeah.
It's also 19 points.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
so
love having a
anyone
19
playing
point in the game.
Demons is going to be playing this mission, especially with, spoiler alert, a rule change that's coming down the pipe.
Yarp.
Yeah, it sounds good. And I like you have to sacrifice the ones you're holding. You're going to drop them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting if you get one of those 5 extracts missions with that
And
Crisis.
Conveniently, this is going to be a really fun one to play alongside Alien Ship. First off, because it's high point totals, and those games are always more fun. But also, the portals go to the other spots, and with the way that the Alien Ship core works, usually when you pick it up, you cannot then move because you just move to it to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the people in the game can teleport to your face. And you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
So, but you can't teleport away because then you would drop it. Also, second thing, this now gives normal characters a way to drop objective tokens.
Yes.
Oh,
So
yeah.
So if you're about to die from your 5 freaking cubes, you can spend 1 power, drop them all, and leave.
Mhm.
You're like, screw it, it's not worth it. Like, I don't want these.
Deadpool can drop a chimichanga if he wants to give it to
That's
somebody
true.
else.
So playing Virus on this one would be pretty good. You can drop your Virus so someone else
That's
can
true.
get
You
it.
could drop it right next to somebody else if your opponent doesn't have anybody over there or anybody left to activate.
Another funny one is Nebula, because she heals 1 every turn. She could teleport to, and she can never pick up objectives, so she can teleport to another spot and then eat whoever's standing on that objective because she gets bonuses.
Sheila loves this one too. There's a lot of cool interactions with this mission. I like it a lot.
Mhm.
It's different. I like that.
Also, it gives Dormammu yet another way to teleport, which is awesome.
Mhm.
Anything to help him out. I'm really about that.
Yeah.
I'm about that life.
Anything that makes enormous models move faster. All right, I think we're good with this one.
Okay.
What's next?
Other new tactics cards we got spoiled. One of them is going to be the Magic Box Journey Through Limbo, unaffiliated active magic card. During her activation, she can spend 3 power to play it. Choose another character within range 2 of magic. Place the chosen character within range 3 of its current position. It gains the Incinerate special condition. So, functionally, in the comic books, she will often abduct people and send them to Limbo, which is a hellscape, literally, and let them burn there for a little bit to torture them and weaken them. So this is exactly that just happening in the game. For 3 power, she picks a character she's close to. It could be an enemy or a friendly, but it does give them Incinerate once they move.
This is one of many, many cards in this expansion wave that does not say friendly or enemy.
Right.
They're doing a lot of pick your poison type stuff where it's flexible both ways.
It's flexible but damaging to yourself, which I like. It's cool. Or at least,
yeah, conveniently, a lot of the ones that can target either do negative effects in some way.
I like that because it's not just oh well when you set up a movement tactic, like you're picking literally a tactics card to make it happen, you are planning on winning the game or doing some cheeky thing with exactly this. You're planning on it happening. So when you have agency over it, there should be a negative. So I like that.
Jeremy.
I was just thinking about the like chaos magic in 40K. Whenever you dive into that kind of pile of magic, it always hurts you. So that's all I was thinking about. I think it's interesting.
I think this is a pretty fair card considering it has to be during Magic's activation. If it wasn't, then you could do a lot of dirty pool stuff like end of turn things to mess with like positioning. But yeah, I think it's pretty solid. This will definitely get played, especially because X-Men have no good cards. So
yeah. Magic. I wonder if Magic would even get an X-Force. I wonder. I don't think she's ever been a member.
You mean if she'll be added to X-Force, or she'll just get played in X-Force?
Added. Oh, you could also just play her, but
yeah, they have enough affiliated characters.
Yeah. Oh, true. They always want to play them.
Yeah, they really wouldn't care.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, obviously she's gonna get played in like Convocation and Midnight Suns, and I think she'll get played. Honestly, they're just hurting for cheap, good characters in X-Men, so
yeah,
I think she'll get played in X-Men.
Yep. We got another card for Rogue. Mind if I cut in? So Rogue can play this card unaffiliated, so you can play it anywhere. This round, when an enemy character is choosing the target character for a non-area or non-beam attack, and Rogue is in range and line of sight, the enemy character may pay 1. If they do not, the attack must target Rogue if possible. So basically this is you put a 1 power tax on what your opponent is doing. If they don't pay the 1 power tax, they have to attack Rogue. But Rogue pays no power to play this card. So it's like it's kind of like a faux bodyguard, similar to the style that Black Dwarf and Luke Cage use, but it costs no power for Rogue, and your opponent has to pay a power to ignore it.
So the issue I have with this card, and it's not a functionality or a balance issue, it's a frustration issue, because I know this is going to get ruled the same way, and Jeremy, you weren't here last week. It's been clarified that the abilities that say when you would target somebody, pay a tax or something happens, like Mysterio or Enchantress, where they get better defense dice if you don't spend power. They've said that you have to do that before your opponent chooses if they're going to bodyguard or not. So you could have Enchantress and this card and a bodyguard nearby. And so we're like, if you want to check Enchantress, you have to spend 1 to not target Rogue. Then you have to spend 2 to negate Enchantress's defense dice. And then it just gets bodyguarded anyway. Like, it's very frustrating, I think. And so I don't think that you should be able to bodyguard after they paid the tax. I think the bodyguard trigger should have to happen first. But that's just an annoyance thing for me. Like the procedural of it's like, well, then I shouldn't have to pay the negative because the attack never targeted them. But that's my opinion. I think this card is really thematic and cool, and I think it's fair. It's only when it's combined with the other silly abilities that I think it gets dumb.
It's kind of interesting that it's an active card, not a reactive card. So Rogue would need to activate early in the round to get the most use out of it, position herself in a place where it's dangerous to do so, and then play the card, and it just sits on her. And what's interesting is that when it says, I was looking at the timing of it, when an enemy character is choosing the target character, they may pay 1. If they do not, so it's must. So basically, once you put it down, your opponent's next attack must target Rogue unless they pay 1. That's a lot of hoops.
It's not next attack; it's all of their attacks for the end of the round. If they can legally attack Rogue, they have to attack Rogue unless they spend 1.
There it is. Okay, I was like, when is this? When is this beneficial?
It's a global taunt.
While
it's in play.
Now I
costs
understand.
1 to negate, but it's a global taunt.
I actually, for some reason, I read it as once it goes off, like a lot of the other taunt cards. Once it happens, it's discarded. But this is not like that. It's an AOE on Rogue. I see.
Yes.
But what's cool is it's not within range 3 of Rogue. It's anybody who could be targeting her with the attack. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it says like within range, but then it also says target if able. So there's a lot of weird wonk. I think they really could have cleaned this up, but they're trying to CYA on this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, basically it says if you can see Rogue, you must attack her with your attack if she's a legal target.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like this card a lot. I think it's fair, and I think it's good, and it's thematic, as long as you're not combining it with other silly stuff, which is all I'm worried about. But if you're playing like, I guess Colossus Rogue is pretty easy to get into an X-Men list, but then you're also throwing in like an Enchantress. That's a lot of points for a weird gimmick. Maybe you could throw in Mysterio fairly easily. He might make it in that list on a regular basis.
Jeremy, you were about to say something.
I like cards that make your opponent think. I mean, that card's really going to shake things up. I mean, you have to do it. How much power is that going to cost? How much is that going to eat your turn? All the power of your turn just doing that and avoiding that. I mean, that's one of those that kind of locks you.
You're just going to have to suck it up. Yeah, you're just going to have to pay the one. Or kill Rogue. Pick one. Yeah.
I think another interesting bit is I don't know if this card is good enough for this, but I wonder. We've talked a couple times about lists that are just about starving your opponent for power. Like you're never interacting with them. You're just like throwing them and manipulating them and trying not to damage them so they don't have the resources to attack your characters and you're winning on objectives. I wonder if a card like this is good enough to include in that. Is it worth Rogue in a tactics slot? I don't know. But it is one of those things that just says, here's more. You already don't have power. I'm already starving you. So here's one more way to double down on that. I'm not sure if it's worth a character and a card, but
I think this, because if you pay attention, it's an unaffiliated active, so
right.
All you need is Rogue. I could see this getting played in like Asgard and just replacing Angela or Loki with her, because I'm pretty sure she's only 4 points.
She is 4,
and so 4 points and a tactics card to put her in with like an Asgard team, and you're taxing them on top of like Loki tax potentially. And then on top of that, you have access to the Thor healing on Rogue. And it just adds another layer, and Rogue can throw people. Like, it's just another bruiser model.
Mm-hmm.
And so it could be some good synergy there, or I could see her also getting played with the Sam Falcon Avengers, just to protect all your little guys a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, you've got potential bodyguard standing right behind her.
Yeah, it's a really interesting card. I feel like this is one of those cards that we're going to put down on the field and be like, this is broken, or put down on the field and go, this just does nothing. Because it just doesn't do anything that game, because your opponent had plenty of power to spend one, and that was it. It didn't do anything.
I mean, Rogue's pretty sturdy. She's probably going to take 3 or 4 attacks down. So at worst case scenario, you spend a tactics card to make your opponent spend 4 power out of turn. I think that's probably okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think it's a good card. I think it'll definitely get played if you're playing Rogue.
Yeah. So more leaks. We do not have the Juggernaut's card yet, but we heard a whole lot about him. Apparently, some basics about his stats. We know that he has 16 HP. Do we know if that's on the front side or the back side, or is just 16 HP?
We don't know the split. I was in the stream when Schick was painting him, and I was bugging him for teasers, and so I finally got him to say how many hit points he has, and he says he has a total of 16.
Okay.
And he definitely has an injured side.
Okay.
He's not a Hulk.
All right. So we know that he has an ability called Nothing Stops the Juggernaut. You push for some amount of power, we're not sure yet, pushes him short. Any terrain he touches is immediately destroyed, and any characters immediately suffer a collision. So it's a push that gives a collision, and he's likely a size 3 or 4, probably 4 character. So that could be a lot.
Sorry, he is a size 4. This is basically a very cleaned up version of what we said he should have, which is like an ability to throw himself, like a pounce, because this is just a much more simplified version.
Right. I really, really like that ability. That sounds super fun. And man, just forcing people to roll their defense dice against 4 hits, that's insane. That's so good.
5 hits. 5 hits.
5. 5 hits. That's so good. Imagine if somebody told you that there was going to be let's say it's 3 costs. I don't know how much this is going to cost. Let's say it costs 3. Do you think it'll cost 4? How much?
I'm guessing it's going to cost at least 3.
Yeah.
If it costs less than 3, this guy might be busted.
Yeah. So let's say they cost 3. If somebody told you this character has a 3 cost attack, it says move this character short and and roll 5 dice that automatically count as hits, but they can't crit or anything else. Like, Jesus, that would be an amazing attack. That's functionally what this is.
Well, if you're talking about, it's basically a throw medium, but you always have a size 4 thing to throw.
Yeah.
Right? Because because the large base plus short movement, you're getting about a medium range. So it's the equivalent of like Thor's Strongest Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to have Train nearby to throw him.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big part. Is that it's infinite ammunition as long as he's alive.
Yeah. And it's size 4 ammunition, because most battlefields don't have more than 1 or 2.
Yeah, usually you'll see 1 about half the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that it's pretty big.
Jeremy, you love throws. What do you think about Juggernaut pushing himself into things?
However much it is to pay, to be able to pay to do a charge and automatically apply 5 damage to you, I'd pay that.
Yeah.
How much do you think it should cost?
It'll be 4, I
Rough
betcha.
guess.
It's not a 3.
4 feels about right. 5 seems a bit much, but I could see it being 5. 3 is not enough.
If he gains 2 or something silly, or he gains something from an ability, I could imagine
spoilers.
4.
Well, speaking of that, he has an ability called Unstoppable Momentum. It'll be a passive that says the first time he moves each turn, he immediately gains 2 power and adds 3 dice to his next attack roll.
Yeah, so with the normal power up, he's got 3 every turn.
So yeah, it'll be 4 or more for
It's
something
gotta
like
cost
that.
4.
It's gotta. Also, he'll likely be in a faction with somebody who constantly gives him
exactly. He's going to be in a faction with Magneto a lot, and so his push himself and destroy terrain thing is going to trigger Magneto's leadership, which is going to hand power out to everybody. Mm-hmm. So you're effectively discounting the cost of it by 1 just by being in Brotherhood. So even if it costs like 5 or 6, I could still see it getting used a lot.
It might be 5. I mean, imagine again, if you spent 5 and said, I want to do 5 damage to that thing. That seems good. Do it. Yes, you do that. I mean...
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be 4, but I could see it being more, and I would not say immediately it's bad if it costs more than 4. But I think 4 is like what feels right. But yeah, so this character is designed to move every turn, probably more than once, because it's kind of his stick. Is he's always moving. He never stops, and you can't stop him. So yeah, very fun stuff so far. But we have more. Yep. Parker.
One of my favorite, for any of you guys in the comic books, know that the way you beat Cain Marko, who is just the Juggernaut's alias, is you take off that helmet so Professor X can shut him down. So he does have helmet special rules. The first one is, while he's healthy, he cannot be moved by mystic effects, so he can't be mind controlled because he's got his magic helmet. And then on his backside, we can expect his mystic defense to also drop. So on his injured side, he will have quote-unquote large change. We don't know how many that is, but we can expect, probably 2 to 3 dice, something like that. So that's super cool. And just super fluffy. I don't know. I mean, the ability for him not to be moved by mystic effects will not be nothing, especially when Complication's out and everybody's got a mystic effect. But
he basically is PSD for free.
Yeah.
From what we understand.
Right. But I love that it falls off on his injured side, because you take the helmet off. And that's the first thing Wolverine does every fight. You slice the helmet off, you pop it off. That's the first thing.
I think he's gonna have more hit points on the front than the back, kind of like MODOK does. I don't know if it'll be as extreme as MODOK's health pool, but it just seems like that's how it's gonna go. Would you agree? Do you think he's gonna be more health on the front, or do you think it's gonna be like an even split? Because the whole point of the Juggernaut is he's like this dauntless, immovable object, and it's so like he doesn't ever get hurt, and so it's usually like you said, the entire battle is just getting the helmet off. Once it's off, the battle's basically over, right?
Right.
And so that's why I'm like kind of like MODOK. MODOK, you're just trying to get him down. Once the force field turns off, he goes away.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be really similar for Juggernaut. I think it's going to be the premier battles on the front.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was like 10-6. I don't think he'll be like 12-4. I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah, I think 12-4 would be too much.
Yeah.
I think 10-6 would be acceptable.
What do you,
Jeremy?
I'm just thinking point wise, like a 16-point model. I mean, did they say what points he is?
He's 5.
He's going to be a 5.
Yeah.
A 10-6 is kind of crazy. A 10-4, or I'm sorry, a 12-4 is almost
But
more.
remember, he doesn't have ranged attacks, and he's probably not going to have much board manipulation.
I bet
wonder.
I would be. I bet I would be amazed if he has any sort of damage reduction. I bet he doesn't. I bet he's more of an offensive.
I wonder.
I think he's going to have damage reduction.
I wonder if when he does this move,
Yeah.
if he doesn't damage himself by crashing into shit and whatever. Like,
It's not a throw.
It's a push.
It's a push. He wouldn't suffer the collision unless it specifically says he also suffers a collision. And then he would just take the 1. But yeah, that would be odd.
it's an unprecedented thing to have a 5-point model that has 16 health with this kind of stats. It's kind of weird.
Well, 16 health is an unprecedented amount of health. Nobody's ever had 16.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's for 5
Yeah.
5 threat. It's kind of weird.
So the way I'm viewing this is basically say, Black Dwarf, a lot of people think Black Dwarf's not very good. I agree that he's behind the power curve for 4-pointers, but I think he has a lot of merits. But the thing that nobody can deny is you're buying a brick of stats, right?
Mhm.
There's no question you're paying for numbers. And his numbers go higher than everybody else's numbers for his point cost. Similar to Lizard. Lizard, you're just buying numbers. And like if you're buying numbers, you get them at a bulk discount. And so if we look at that justification on Juggernaut, we adjust for current power level, and then we increase the point value by 1. What will those numbers look like? And from what I'm seeing, I think Juggernaut's about on pace.
seems pretty good.
Like, he's supposed to be 25% meaner than Black Dwarf. And then maybe even more than that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's a lot,
Mm-hmm.
especially Brotherhood. Giving Brotherhood more ammunition is really scary. That kind of horrifies me.
I'm definitely going to start playing Asteroid M now that I can just deliver Juggernaut to your deployment zone on turn 1. It's like, oh, Quicksilver, run over there. Okay. Here's Kane. Bye. Like, oh god.
I know it could be perfectly thematic for him to have damage reduction, but I wonder if he will. Giving him 16 HP, I wonder if they'll make him more, because the Hulk could also have damage reduction, but he just doesn't, right? So I wonder if he will not.
Well, but the Hulk's never, like, he's been invulnerable, but he's invulnerable to, like, little stuff. He takes damage, he just, like, shakes it off. Like, the Juggernaut is, like, literally invulnerable. I don't know, we'll see. I asked Shix straight up, is he going to be hard to kill? And he said he's going to be quite stout. So I believe he's going to have damage reduction. He might just have a silly physical defense, like, maybe he's going to be, like, physical 5 or something, or I don't know. But I would expect he's going to be like 4-3-6 with damage reduction. And then on the backside, he'll be like 4-3-2.
It'll be a 6-2-2. Always use physical. Son of a bitch. They finally did it.
Why have the 2s? Why have the 2s?
So, other news. Apparently the new Quinjet terrain piece that's coming out is non-interactable. Just means you won't be able to pick it up and throw it on the board. Is this the first terrain we have, like non-building terrain that has like a set rule? You can't throw the Quinjet. Is this?
Parker, you're popping. Raise your mic up. I don't know why you moved it.
I didn't.
You did. I saw you.
Well, I yawned.
Yes, this is the first piece of terrain that's specifically non-interactive. They said that because it takes up such a large footprint, and it would be such a change to the dynamic of the game by removing it, they wanted to have terrain that you couldn't get rid of for that reason. And so I believe, because they showed the Blackbird in the video, that Josh is flying around like it's a toy. But so I think we're going to get the Blackbird, and we're definitely getting the Quinjet, and I assume both of them are going to be non-interactable. I'm surprised that the apartment building isn't, but because it's size 5, specifically Agents of Smash is the only thing that moves it right now. And maybe Juggernaut will destroy it.
Man, so far all the terrain that's made in this game, I give my hats off to him. Like, super fun, super fluffy. I watched you put it together. It does look great. I'm excited to have it and give it to you. But the Blackbird is the very first one. Like, I think I could paint a Blackbird. Man, I had like 3 different Blackbird models when I was a kid. I loved that, the SR-71, and the fact that X-Men rode in it. I was so pumped. Oh, that was.
I had the action figure one that had like the little orange rocket missiles you
Yep.
shot out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mystique will be flying mine. It's going to move. She can fly jets. I've seen it in the movies.
Yes,
Ah.
she does. Okay, so beyond that, like really pedestrian stuff, I also heard tell that all the core rules are getting an update. Wom bomb. So
I don't know. All seems like a bit much.
all of them will
okay.
be printed again into a new book. Now the words may not change, but all of them.
There's not going to be a book.
Oh, there's not a book? I thought there was. Oh,
No.
that's right. It'll be a PDF,
It's
right?
a PDF. Yeah.
PDF.
There
So-
has never been a printed rulebook for
That's
this
true.
game.
Thank God. If anybody who makes this game is listening, never ever do that.
Yeah.
So the rules update.
So-
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say real quick. I'll save for the next segment. Go ahead.
Okay. So the rules update should be out before the end of 2021. It's got a bunch of big bombshells that we know already. First one, I just want to take a second to talk about this. I feel I don't know if it's a second to talk about it, or maybe we just need like a moment of silence for all of us to let this just wash over us, because us in this podcast have talked about this so many times. Yeah. There are going to be 10 tactic slots in your roster now. Isn't
Heave
that
ho.
cool?
Jeremy, you didn't sigh with us.
That
Heave
was
ho.
the
I
best.
just keep thinking I'm so glad to be able to get heave ho in my list.
Finally, now you have your heave ho tax and then 9 other slots
And no escape.
and no escape. Darn it,
I
you're
got
right.
my no escape. My
Now we're
heave
back
ho,
down to
I'm
8.
ready.
You guys, I don't know why we even have these discussions. We're already back down to 8.
Yeah.
But-
Oh man. Yeah. This was at this point I think we should lobby for 12. No, but for real, this is a big change. Because with the two, you basically have 2 mandatory ones. It made it so hard to get dual affiliations in because of the number of
Mhm.
character restricted and affiliated cards. And then your 2 restricteds. Like, it felt like by the time you had just made an affiliated roster, you only had a couple slots left. And so characters that had 2 or 3 or 4 Tactus cards just felt like not playable because you could never bring all their cool options. Like, even Scarlet Witch, who's one of the better characters in the game, who has a bunch of really cool Tactics cards, they were never really an option beyond No More Mutants because No More Mutants is the best one.
Yep.
And you don't have any slots left. Like, you're done.
Yep.
It's very annoying.
Yeah, it's. I love the idea that now you can consider, Web Warriors and another faction that has more than one Tactics card, because
Yeah.
when you were playing Web Warriors, you're like, well, I want to play these 7 Web Warriors cards that are all worth it, and then I'm, done.
Yeah.
I'll fit in one of the great ones and then these. But now
And
you
everyone
can actually do
has
it.
like those like couple like niche tech cards where it's like, well, I need this in case I play X. Well, now you can afford to put those in your roster.
Mhm.
It definitely allows dual affiliation again. That's the good part. And there's the next news piece, or one of the news pieces you're going to release, that allows for the dual affiliation as well.
Yeah. Parker, what is next?
Next one is now Crises will be chosen randomly, and
I hate this.
I don't understand. Isn't it already random-ish? What's going
No,
on here?
it's now 100% random. You will draw one of your 3 cards at random. That is your mission.
Huh.
I hate this. So I understand why. So I'm not mad at the people who made the decision. I'm mad at the situation. So the reason that this change is going to be made is because too many people are dumb little no-no babies that don't know how to come up with a legitimate plan and play a game. So they just do these like typical first turn plays where it's like, well, I'm just going to run a scripted army that does all this stuff to get a turn 1 advantage and then try and ride that to victory. So there's people like taking either Angela or Amazing Spider-Man in stuff like Inhumans, or taking Advanced R&D to load them up on power so they can go check multiple points turn 1. And then like they'll end up with 2 extract tokens, like 2 legacy cures on Spider-Man turn 1. And then they'll just get a huge advantage on turn 1 because they played these like gimmicky combos that only work in the first turn if you get priority. And your like opponent doesn't have any answer for it. So it's just, I don't know, it just feels very unfun. Like, where's the fun in that? Like, okay, you played a card and you got 2 extra points on turn 1, and then you just slowly won.
Well,
That just seems
it's the definition of solitaire. It's playing.
Yeah.
It's playing an Exodia deck. Like it's completely non-interactive. You're not interacting with your opponent at all. You're just building your, you're putting your plan down on the table. If the dice come up slightly your way, then you just won.
Right.
That's it. Yeah.
The problem I have with balancing things through randomization is they're not preventing it from happening. They're just reducing the odds of it happening.
Right.
Which means if you get matched up in that situation, you're still screwed. Like if you didn't have an answer for it, you still don't have an answer for it.
Right.
Your answer is hope they don't draw their 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah.
I was like, what kind of fucking like game is that then? Now we're just playing like fucking Yahtzee. Like who cares?
Mm-hmm.
And so if they were wanted to fix this problem, I say they should just restrict the missions that are abusable. And if they want to do this, and they have to burn both of their restricted slots trying to get the missions that are abusable, then who cares? That's a legitimate strategy. Is like you're investing your resources in getting favorable missions. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But like playing Yahtzee in an hour-long game, like what's the point in that? You're just wasting everyone's time.
Right. You should just roll off real fast. Just whoever has most hits wins. Go by.
Like, if you care that much about getting a win that you totally didn't earn because you just won because of a loophole, like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, you clearly need to get some more wins under your belt so you can look yourself in the mirror.
But I'm with you. I don't like this randomization thing. This is kind of similar to what I don't like about an X-Wing. They have the rule where if there's a tie, like if you can find a way to get a perfect tie in points, then you just roll off your red dice versus your opponent's red dice. That's how you solve it.
It's like just flip a coin. Like
right.
Who cares?
Yes, but that's the problem with there are people who will play for the tie. I'm going to put as many red dice into my starting list as possible and play for the tie. Because if I'm playing for the tie, I might get an advantage in doing so. And then if I get to that point, then we're automatically tied. And so I will roll my 18 red dice, and my opponent, who was just came to play the game, rolls 5, and I win. In this case, it's very similar. It's a hint of randomization, but it's tilted in the way you just described. Instead of using dice, we're drawing cards. But you can still set up your 3 cards to be the most inopportune for your opponent and still play that.
Also, there's something else, but real quick, I want to point out the way you get a tie in X-Wing is you have the same number of points destroyed at the end of the game, which means it if you're trying to get this final salvo event to happen, means you're probably also stalling throughout the game to try and get to the time limit,
right? So
that the final salvo happens. Which means that the game you played not only took the maximum amount of time, but was as little fun as possible.
Yeah.
Because almost nothing happened. They ran away from you and delayed for as long as possible.
Which is not...
They literally just sat there. It's like, well, I get 20 seconds to assign each of these maneuver dials.
Yeah.
And so I have 5 ships, so that's like a minute and a half. And then if I'll just sit here and basically until you call a judge over and make me do something. And then I get 20 seconds every time I make a decision. And then 20 seconds every time I move a ship. And you're like, oh, look, your turn with 5 ships took 14 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, it's supposed to take 2. Like, what the hell's going on?
And
it's very not fun.
And in Marvel Crisis Protocol, you wouldn't necessarily have the same devotion of time in this because you could probably move faster than that. But since you only have 6 turns, rather than time being the thing you're taking away from your opponents, it's functionally turns to interact with them, right? So you're supposed to have fun on turns 2 to 6, but if you just make the only interactions you can have, maybe turn 4 and then turn 6 because you're just manipulating them and keeping them at arm's reach the whole time, it's still the same amount of no fun. It still sucks.
Yeah.
I've always thought it was kind of strange that... So I'm on the other side of the coin. We talked about this the other day at the shop, and I'm still kind of in the same position I was in. I get what you're saying, but I always thought it was weird that you're lining up with a bunch of superheroes and you're going, it would be great if we fought a plane that's on fire today and saved 4 people. That'd be great. Let's go ahead and line that up. So I like the idea that you don't know what you're going against. As far as that goes, I've always enjoyed like 40K and War Machine. Like the big thing was always, what does your table look like? And it seems like you don't get that in Marvel Crisis. Basically, you have 3 cars on your side, 3 cars on yours, whatever, a couple buildings here and there, all the same resources. So we've never once looked at the table and said, let's pick our sides. I like that side better because I'm going to do better. So the actual element that matters and is kind of, I like the randomness, You arrive to the table and you're like, oh crap, how can I make what I have deal with the things that are laid out here? The reds and blues, okay, so here's what we've got. Who can best deal with that with the models that you took? Not, I chose all 19 points, so I know that if I get priority, I'm playing 19 points. Well, what the hell? Come on, dude. And the chances of getting priority is what it is. I'd rather just be random.
So, right. For priority is its own problem.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll address that. They haven't announced that they will, but hopefully they'll address priority. Specifically to what you were saying, though, I think that having completely random missions means it's less likely you'll get cool dynamic matchups. Because if you're just picking cards at random, and you have zero control over it, then half the time you're going to be picking blind missions that are actually better for your opponent than for you. Like, that's what I don't like about it. Is like, if you went to sit down and like, okay, my opponent's playing Web Warriors. Well, now I can intentionally pick a mission like Demons Downtown, or this new Dormammu mission that minimizes the amount of scoring they can do on the blue scenario. But now, well, it's a 1 in 3 chance you get that one. Maybe you'll just pull the other one that's actually better for them than for you. And so all you're incentivized to do is either completely sell out one way to where all your missions are identical, which is not fun, because that's removing the exact thing that you were talking about, or you're just going to get screwed sometimes because you have zero control over the event.
Yeah, I think if you're playing this game to replicate like a Marvel comic, I agree with you, Jeremy, that like if that's what your goal was, is to, just play guys that you think are cool against the guys they think are cool. I do like the idea that it's totally random, because you're right. In a comic book, the superheroes don't have perfect knowledge, neither the supervillains, about what's going to occur. However, if you're playing this competitively because you want to win the game and that's what you're excited about, this takes competitive agency away from the game and gives it to random chance, and it will probably only benefit it won't necessarily benefit you or your opponent, but it will take away your agency. Kind of like your War Machine example is a good one, where sometimes I'd come up to a board and I went, well, if I don't get to pick table sides, I have lost, because there's a big ass forest in the middle of the field and I did not bring a list that could deal with it. I literally cannot play this field on this side. So then the whole game came down to that, that role. In this case, the whole game, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the whole game could come down to a 33% chance for you just failing at outset.
I think sometimes it did anyway.
It did anyway
before. They made characters that can advance and pick up 2 things. I mean, sometimes that's all it takes, and there's nothing you can do about it. I think you can do both. I think there can be randomness, and I think that you've got a good shot at it if you built your list right. I understand what you're saying, and that's probably more true, but I'm okay with that. Whatever.
I understand you have a separate opinion than mine, and I respect that, but it annoys me when we had, I thought, a really good system from you don't always get what you want, but you have control over the situation. I thought we had a really nice split there. Because obviously you shouldn't be able to just pick whatever mission you want, because you'll always have the best answer for whoever you're playing. But you also shouldn't be completely blind, and you shouldn't be... Like, there was strategy to it before. Now there's going to be no strategy, because there's no decision making. Like, you get zero control over it. That's never going to help you build a strategy into your list.
Well, you have exactly 33%. You have exactly 33%.
You could bring
control.
2 very similar missions, and then 1 oddball that's very different. And so most of the time when you got there, you could pick between your 2 different types of missions. But you knew the one that was more commonly good for you would always be available. Well, now you can't do something like that, because if you pull that card versus the wrong opponent, the game's over. Like, oh, I just gave Black Order exactly what they wanted. I've lost. Like, what's the point? Like, now that's no longer an option. You've removed a strategy in list building that was there before, and now you can't do. Also, like, the ability to play dual affiliation, where you've got multiple strategies in there. So if you're doing, like, very similar, like, I'm doing Asgard and X-Force, 2 very brawler-friendly lists that just want to run up and punch people, sure, you can play the same missions on those. But, like, Web Warriors and Black Order don't want to play the same missions. Web Warriors and Avengers don't want to play the same missions. And so now you're going to walk up, flip a card over, and go, guess I'm playing Avengers, even though they're not good against my opponent. Like, that's not fun. Where's the fun in that? How is the game better with that change?
I guess it's better for exactly the players that walked into those Angela and Amazing Spider-Man games and hated the game because they walked out going, why was I even here? Maybe they'll feel less. Maybe they'll walk away from those games going, well, I lost because I had a 33% chance to not pick that. I got unlucky this time. Maybe I got unlucky this time, and a shrug is better than that person played Angela, so I automatically lost in their eyes.
But I don't think that was ever really the case. Like, you could get ahead. Before they fixed the Legacy Cure, Thanos had unbelievable advantage. And that's true. But then they claimed it was a misprint, but I don't know if they just never saw it or whatever. It doesn't matter. But just, if there's missions that are that abusable by two characters in the game, either fix the characters or restrict the missions. Or, like, the affiliation in Inhumans and advanced R&D are the two things allowing this to happen. Restrict them. Make them pay resources to do the gimmick, and it will go away.
Did they say why they did that piece?
Specifically because people were gaming the early game.
Really?
Like, people were having turn one scripted scenarios where they would get an advantage. They specifically called out like advanced R&D and long movers. And they talked about how hired muscle was a huge mistake and they wish they had never done it. Because they just did not realize how hard people would be able to abuse it in future scenarios.
I will agree.
And the problem I'm running it.
Yeah.
The problem I also want to bring up. Sorry, go ahead, Jeremy.
I will agree that I don't think it was broken initially. I mean, I agree with you with that. I don't think there was really that big of a problem.
And nobody's doing it in our area, so it's not really fair for us to say it's not an issue, but it's not an issue in our meta. And if it was, I imagine we would attempt to adjust to it. And if that was the only thing that could win, which is definitely not true, because those lists only work if you get priority. Like, the whole point of it is 50% of the time I get a 20% advantage. I'm like, okay, whatever. But the thing I also wanted to bring up, with the fact that there's more and more missions coming out, like we just talked about how Demons Downtown and the new Dormammu mission are very similar in concept. They're both very low scoring blue missions at 19 points. Eventually we're going to get to the point where there's just 3 basically duplicate scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you come up with whatever your best scenario is, it's just going to be all 3 of them being basically the same. Like, right now, I can basically tell you any fighty list that doesn't want to go to points is going to play probably Gamma, Demons, and the new Dormammu mission. And they're going to try to not play Gamma if possible, but they'll be okay with it if it happens. Just like the extract missions, the people like Black Order that only want 1 extract token are going to play Mutant Extremists, Alien Ship, and Skrulls. Those are the 3 missions they're going to play. And so every mission, it's a centerline deployment with 3 extracts that's 1 is the real one. We're not even to the point where it's hard now, let alone when more missions keep coming out. And so it's just going to make list building mission selection in list building very uninteractive.
Yeah, that was one thing that I considered is as long if this rule exists for another 5 missions in the game, what will end up happening is I'll have a stack of missions I never use, like the stack of tactics cards I never use. We'll have trash missions that will never be used because you wouldn't dare let them get picked in your 33%. So you just can't play them. Right now, I think every mission is playable at some point because you can find a use for it. But if I had to risk having it sent into the game, and that was a risky business, I'll just never take that risk. It's not worth it.
Mm. So right before we wrap this up, Richard, one of the guys from our store, was talking about he would like it to see kind of like the War Machine Masters, or ADR is a term they used for it, lists, where they would basically pick a season. So it'd be like a 6-month long season where you would only be able to play like 4 things. And in that game, it was Warcasters or Leaders. And so the example comparison here was there was like a list of 6 or 10 missions these are the missions you can play. And so if they find that one of them's being abused, they'll just cycle it out of the current format. And so that would be a more aggressive way to handle it. And I don't know that it'd be the best. Alternatively, I think if they were worried about specific missions getting abused, they could have increased the mission deck to 5. And so if you're drawing 2 of them, picking one off of a deck of 5 or 4 even, again, we're making it still more random, but still with some agency over the decision. Anyway.
Other bits of news, important. We now have confirmed that alter egos can be played in the same roster, just not in your squad. So Doctor Strange can play with Doctor Strange because he is in 4 affiliations together or some nonsense. Maybe just 3.
In the same affiliation together? There's only
are both
2.
Are both Doctor Strange in the same affiliation with Doctor Strange? Is that just 2? That's just 2.
2.
Right.
It's Defenders and Convocation.
That's right.
Old Doctor Strange is not in Midnight Suns, to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm. You're correct. So we have the ability to put alter egos together now. Do you think that was just because new models in the game? Like they didn't even.
I think this was just a big oversight. I don't think they put a lot of thought into this way back when. Like it was something they said we'll talk about it when it becomes an issue, and it wasn't an issue for a very long time. Because we've talked about their initial pool of design was 50 characters,
right?
And I think the only 2 characters in that range that duplicated were Black Widow, and so it wasn't an issue. And now with multiple Peter Parkers and multiple Doctor Stranges, it's becoming a lot more imperative that those models are accessible, because especially considering some of them are leaders, multiples of them are leaders, you want to be able to have access to that leadership within your list without just saying you can. They basically just invalidate the old version, right?
Right.
Like, why is Peter Parker Spider-Man ever going to get played when Amazing Spider-Man is a leader within the faction? Like, you just can't make that sacrifice.
Right.
So yeah, I like it a lot.
What do you think, Jeremy? Do you like the ability to do the alter egos?
Oh, for sure. I thought it was pretty stupid that Amazing Spider-Man and Peter Parker couldn't be both in the same Web Warrior roster. Like, what the hell is that? That was so silly. Like, it was just ridiculous. So yeah, it's good to fix that.
This is a great change. This should have been the this way the whole time. This 100% right move.
Yeah. Another interesting change, and I think this has implications for a lot of different places, depending upon if they keep printing characters that have access to them. The Infinity Gem mechanic is going to change. So now they're no longer going to take up character slots that are separate, and then you switch them into characters at will when you're creating your roster. Instead, you assign them 2 characters at your roster creation. So basically, if you want Doctor Strange to have the Time Stone, he will have the Time Stone when you put Doctor Strange into your roster, not when you choose him to go onto the board and play. So this is kind of interesting. I do not know how much it actually changes the way we generally see them played, but it.
Can I tell you how?
How does this happen?
Black Order just got way better, way better.
Way better.
You mean worse?
No, way better.
Wouldn't it be?
I strongly disagree with that concept.
You can play straight up Black Order and straight up Web Warriors. Either way.
So,
whatever you want to do.
Well, at 1 point total.
At several point totals. You do whatever you want. You have 3 models now on a list. You have 7 more extra models to throw in there. You can play 2 entirely separate lists now.
Those 3 models only work at 1 point total.
No. Oh, 17. 17 and 18, you play that.
Yeah, they work at 17.
They work at 18, you just play 17. It's still better than 18-point list.
Right, but it's a 17-point list.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
But
that's what I told you.
Yes.
No, I get that, but you still have to have other stuff. Like, yeah, I get that you have more character slots, but having that, you basically have an 8-point module and a 9-point module. That is not a flexible list. What do you do at 16? You just don't play Black Order?
That's what
15,
I'm saying.
15, you don't play Black Order. 14, you don't play Black Order.
Sure.
Like,
you can play Black Order, or you can play the other list for 7 models that you have there.
But just like we talked about a minute ago, Black Order and Web Warriors do not want to use the same missions.
Correct. You can. I'm just saying you can build 2 lists within Black Order instead of just being stuck.
Right. Yeah. But I actually think this is a nerf to Black Order, because beforehand they got to do their Black Order thing at every point total, because you had enough characters to make Black Order work at 14 through 20. But now that you can't pass the stones around to make the points even out, you can't drop down from Time Stone to Power Stone, you can't drop the Mind Stone, pick up the Reality Stone, you can't drop the Reality Stone off Corvus to make him only 4 points. Like, that is actually a big deal. Having a 17-point rigid module is not a great way to try and build a list. Like, at 18, sure, you can throw in a Koye or Rocket or somebody, and it works, but, like, it's not ideal. But the problem is, if you go below 17, it fucks you. Like, you just have to drop Nebula and Corvus, just, like, straight up. And then you're not playing Black Order.
To me, it's much scarier. You know the Black Order you're going to be playing. If it's regular Black Order, if you have 2 options, to me, it's much scarier.
I think you'll know by looking at their Crisis cards and their Tactics cards what list they're actually playing.
Sure. But
I actually think this was directly an attempt to nerf Black Order.
To make them more rigid and less flexible.
Yeah, giving them 3 more Tactics slot doesn't make them more dangerous. Or 3 more character slots, sorry. Doesn't make them more dangerous. Things it makes them less dangerous because they're less flexible. I actually think the mission thing was kind of an attempt to slow them down as well. Because Black Order are only really bad when they can really leverage the mission.
Yeah, they can feel like a really negative play experience as well. If you have only 1 extract, then you're just like, welp.
Yeah, if they get like demons and alien ship, like I don't know how you stop them. Like you can't outscore them at that point. Because you're never going to take their back point and you're never going to get the token back.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. The random missions do make it pretty bad in that scenario. Because you can't do anything about that. If you pluck those 2, I mean, it's one of those where you're like, well, I guess I just can't play those. Take those out of your 3.
Which is actually why I don't like the randomization. Because, yeah, you might not get screwed, but the guy next to you is going to get fucked over when he randomly pulls demons against Black Order and he just auto loses. You're like, yeah, clearly he would never have chosen that because he's not a fucking moron. But now he doesn't get a choice. So, like, that's why I don't like. It's like you have to make these decisions. If you knew who you were playing against, yeah, it's not a problem. Because or if you try and play just generalist friendly scenarios, it's okay. But that just makes the game less interesting because you're not playing the aggressive missions ever. You're just playing like Infinity Formula and was it Spider Portals like every time. I don't know. I don't think the randomization does anything for anybody except maybe like incentivize the people that are doing gimmicky bullshit to stop. But it doesn't make their thing not work. It just makes it less reliable. Like, so I don't know that it's actually good change. I don't like it. And I know I've said that a bunch. I'm going to stop talking now because I'm just going to get gripey. But I think I've made my point. I disagree with this from a lot of positions. I actually like the Infinity Stone change. It is kind of annoying when you need like 1 more guy, but you've got like 2 Infinity Stones in your list. I do wish you could choose to not field the stones. If you had to assign them to a character, maybe that would be better, but I think it's overall an okay change. But it's like, oh, I just don't want to bring the Reality Stone. Okay, well, I guess I could see that.
I think one of the things, the only thing I considered is if somebody who has never actually put Black Order on the table, I don't know how much this hurts anybody or really affects anybody unless it's Black Order, if we currently have it the way it works, right? Because almost every time you're considering Loki, you're always considering with the Mind Stone. When you're considering Ronan, you're thinking Ronan with the Power Stone. When you're considering Doctor Strange, you're doing Doctor Strange with the Time Stone. Almost every single time. I can't.
There are a lot of people that bring, when you have multiple stones available, you bring both and you make the decision at the table. And a lot of the time, the people that can take 2 stones, it's different point cost stones. And so you're like, well, I'm playing Defenders and we're only doing 16 points. So I'm going to take the Soul Stone just so I can also take Ghost Rider or something like that. Well, now you don't have that choice.
Right.
You have to take 9-point Doctor Strange.
I get the flexibility part. I get that. But at the same time, when I'm playing Doctor Strange, if I'm giving him any stones, I personally am reaching for the Time Stone. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
If I'm playing Doctor Strange. And if I don't want to play Doctor Strange, or I want to play Doctor Strange without the Time Stone, I'm not thinking, okay, well, I really want to be able to have a stone on my list anyway. And the same thing with Ronan. Like, Ronan is so amazing with the Power Stone that I'm going to put Ronan with the Power Stone. And
sure.
Quill can take it, but I'm not putting it on Quill because that's a bad idea when Ronan can have it. So
Sure.
I think,
but on the times you don't take Ronin, you could have slid it over to Quill if Ronin wasn't in the list, and so then that's not an option.
Right.
I don't think it really hurts anybody but Black Order.
That's what I'm saying.
I think that's why I said I think this is a targeted nerf at Black Order.
I think if you
and it's like Jeremy pointed out, it's not all bad.
No.
It gives them other flexibility, but it makes the Black Order segment of their list very rigid.
Yeah. Which I think was supposed to be the way they played. I think because that's why they're a small squad with a very set point level. But you wanted to take them all. I feel like that's the way they were designed. Anyway, next bit is we know finally there's going to be errata for stat cards. New stat cards are coming out. The card packs will be for sale next year at some point. There'll be updated cards included with them and just new versions of old cards. They're getting a couple of graphics changes. For example, some of the color palettes and the way they had printed text was difficult for certain varieties of color blindness. They struggled with it. And so you'll notice that if you look at the new cards, they have...
I just wanted to say... the reason that they were able to go back and do these updates, they were never planning on going back and readjusting older cards, but they talked about how because the game is going global and it's going to be printed in multiple different countries in multiple different languages, they already had to go back and touch old cards to make them new format for those printers and to accessibility for colorblindness. But he said one of the major problems they actually had was because the different languages have noticeably different word lengths. The formatting in their smaller text boxes did not work. And so that's why the new text box is just a giant rectangle that they just put stuff in. That way they can guarantee it's able for every different language to make it inside the box.
Right.
But since they were already going back and touching up old cards, they decided this was their opportunity to actually make some adjustments. And because of that, it sounds like, and this is a lot of loose wording, but it sounds like all of the cards, all of the character cards are going to be reprinted in a pack, like you said, that's supposed to be out early 2022. And he also said it should have a lot of the cards that new players are looking for. And so it sounds like it will also have some of the tactics cards that like field dressing and stuff to get people into the game. So it's like a catch-up pack in addition to being the new art.
Interesting. Also,
the updated cards will be available on the website for print to demand. So if you want to go to Drive-Thru RPG or something and have them print out the cards for you, I believe that's also going to be an option. Which is great because I know there's some people out there, I saw one guy spilled paint on his Iron Man card. And he's like, no, there's no way to get another one of these. So that's good. So good stuff. But just a heads up, that's why we're seeing erratas when they said before they weren't going to do erratas.
Mm-hmm. So we can talk about some of the erratas that we know of, some of the ones that have been posted, some of the ones that have been mentioned on the cast. The first one we have is MODOK. MODOK is... I'm not going to read his entire card again because it's almost exactly identical with the exception of his MODOK...
There's a couple, actually.
Oh, there's more than... I thought it was just the MODOK Genius is Infinite was reworded.
No, there's I think two. But yeah, the big one... because of the timing problems that happened recently, they're going to go through and adjust all the timings on all the cards that cause that timing issue where you would have to make the choice before rolling criticals. Because, and I'm quoting Will Pagani here, we like to listen to our customers, and our customers hated it.
Yeah.
So that's why this got changed. So P-Brain, MODOK's Genius Infinite, has been changed to an X-cost power, which is reactive. While this character is attacking or defending during the modified dice step of the attack, it may spend any amount of power. For each power spent this way, it may reroll one of its attack or defense dice. This superpower can only be used once per turn. And so it is now only usable once per turn instead of every time the character attacks and defends. So that's a pretty big nerf. But they fixed the timing problem, and he was already the best character in the game, so that seems fine.
So what is the official timing now? How does it go? Paint a word picture for me.
Okay, it happens in the modified dice step.
Yeah,
which is when you normally do modifiers.
Okay.
So the old wording was when attacking or defending after rolling dice.
Ah, I see. I see.
And so, which is dumb that I can get into this whole fucking thing about
Yeah,
this. Anyway.
I remember that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so the problem was this was never an issue. Everyone, including the devs, played it the way it works now. But the problem was when Domino got printed, she had a loophole on her card that said before resolving criticals. And for some reason, they decided to rule it that everyone works that way, even though she's the only model that says before rolling criticals.
Mhm.
They should have just said everyone else works the normal way and she goes before criticals. That was the fix, and I don't know why the fuck they didn't just say that from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because that's the obvious way to play it. It was very upsetting, and I'm gonna talk more about this later, but holy shit, just do the obvious thing and clarify it instead of making a problem that didn't exist.
So were those the two things, the modifying clarification and the once per turn? There's another bit on here somewhere. That
was one. Bow to the will of MODOK is now only usable once per turn, just like the Mind Stone. You cannot bow multiple people. It's not each person can only be bowed once. It is one bow per turn. The way all the other rules seem to be worded. So yeah, that's changed. I believe Enchantress is also going to be hit, which makes sense. Like you should only be able to move one person. I don't think they realized quite how powerful it was going to be. It's like, well, yeah, but you need like 6 power. Who would do that? And then they're like, oh, points. That's why. Mm-hmm. So yeah, those are the 2 changes on MODOK.
Jeremy, you're Captain MODOK. You've always been a huge MODOK on the table fan. Is MODOK hot trash now? Nerf incoming, super garbage?
No, he has 10 health on his front side, man. He has a machine gun as a weapon. That's ridiculous. He's still really good. He's 5 points strong. He's not 5.5 anymore, maybe, but he's 5.
Imbecile, all the world is a weapon to MODOK.
Yeah.
Even his lawnmower trash can.
Yeah. Not everyone can live in a trash can, but MODOK does his best.
I just realized, Imbecile, all the world is weapon to MODOK. Could he always throw?
Yes.
The reason I thought it was medium.
It's okay because you never played a game with MODOK, so
I played with him once.
Imbecile.
I don't remember.
That implies you have played a game, and I don't believe you.
Not done. Something I do not do during my turns is think, okay, I'm definitely going to throw this object to make sure I do more damage. I haven't done that yet. I'm always thinking about it as like, is there a throw on here that I could actually finish this off? I need to. So I never look to that as the first thing I try. So I didn't. Really
all right.
Sure.
What's next, Parker?
Next one is Shuri. She's getting a new card printed. I didn't study it with a fine-tooth comb. What's different in this thing? I don't know. I stared at it once and I was like,
Shuri's
I don't
changed.
know what's
Shuri's,
different.
that's fine. You can't read. I get it. I'll read it for you.
Oh,
So
I
Shuri-
see. I see where it is. I see it. I found it.
Oh, did we crack the code?
Yeah, I did.
So Shuri's attack has been changed.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, someone in the fucking development group still has a massive crush on Shuri, so she's still very overpowered.
Yeah.
Her push has been restricted to only size 3 people. If she attacks a size 4 person, they are not pushed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. Basically, just burn it all down because like I mean, she's worthless now, right? We should actually hold on. Wait. I got it. She's terrible now. This is the biggest nerf ever in the game. Don't play her. She's bad. We got to sell it, guys, or else they won't believe us.
I mean, that means she can't move Dormammu, so
Yeah.
Trash.
Yeah, so just to clarify, the number of models in the game she cannot push are Dormammu,
It's like 4.
Hulk, Buster, MODOK, and Black Dwarf? Cool. Now that we've listed
Juggernaut.
those characters...
Juggernaut.
Juggernaut's not out yet.
Hulk
Buster's not out yet either, actually. Never mind.
Yes.
But we've seen his card.
Yeah.
So yeah. Wow.
Game changer.
This should obviously have been changed to only pushing on the wild. You had the opportunity. It could have happened. God damn it, Pagani.
God
You
damn
missed
it.
your fucking chance. I'm so mad. Like, what was the point? You typed all those fucking words and you still let it go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so upset. Like, this model is so dumb, and it's always going to be dumb. Because for no reason, just like in War Machine, someone loves this model and decided that it needs to be broken. I'm so done with it.
Yeah.
Like, just look at Web Warriors. Web Warriors are considered overpowered. Look at Impact Webbing, and then look at her Panther Gauntlets. It's off the fucking scale.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next. What's next? I'm mad.
Next is Captain America.
So Captain America was too strong. Everybody knows that because they've played against Captain America. So he got nerfed in multiple ways. First off, his strike on a wild can only push up to size 3 people. It's basically trash. Don't use it anymore. Shield Slam. Used to be able to throw up to size 2. Now it can throw up to size 3. I guess that's better. Not bad. Not worse. Let me know. Did they actually make that better? I thought they nerfed it.
Look. I'm looking at the original.
Americas.
I'm looking at the original card here. Shield
Is
Slam.
it size 2?
Yeah, it actually got a buff.
Wasn't it? Yeah, it was size 2. So they actually buffed his Shield Slam, and they buffed both of them, so he can push up. He used to be able to restrict it to size 2. So they buffed all 3 of his attacks. Never mind. I thought they were untyped in size before. Which means they knew that attacks that pushed up to size 4 people were not okay when they printed Shuri. I'm pointing that out.
So yeah, they buffed all his attacks. Yep.
Yeah, they increased both those to size 3, but then the shield throw, let me tell you, got much better.
Yeah.
It gets a power when he uses it, just like Sam, and it's a 5 dice attack now, which is pretty sexy.
Yes. Still has the wild ricochet also. He is much more dangerous offensively now.
Yeah, Sam's is only 4 dice. This actually feels like Captain America now. I'm very excited. He didn't need much because he's obviously very good, but he was so one-dimensional, and shield throw was honestly so bad. If your opponent didn't have an unprotected rocket, it was worthless.
Yeah,
and so I'm very happy that is back in play.
And it was,
also
go ahead.
Just real quick, they cleaned up the wording on his leadership a little bit, so it's more intuitive. But yeah, that it's the same rule.
Yeah, I really like that. The shield, that's funny. The ironic thing is the shield throw is actually the power you usually use with him because he was just standing next to his friend.
He was so far away.
Yeah, so he was usually just standing next to his buddy or moving twice to stand next to his buddy. And so shield throw is what you used a lot. So now your shield throw is actually giving you some benefit. Also, it's Captain America's shield throw. It's one of the most iconic moves in the Marvel Universe. Like, if you've ever played any of the video games, when he throws his shield, he cleaves sentinels in twain. Like, that's what he does. That's what he does in, like, every...
He cleaved a mountain in twain.
In twain. He turned it sideways, and it split down the middle. Like, that was... So I really, really like... I mean, I love the Avengers, and I love Captain Avengers, so... I'm pumped for this.
He feels like a super soldier now. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, and should we talk about the big boy?
Yes. Puny Banner is not so puny anymore. Hulk got a rework.
He is quite literally too big for his britches.
Yep.
So we'll start with the first thing that you probably notice when you look at his card. Physical defense 4!
Yay!
They doubled his physical defense, and by the way, that's still not enough to keep him alive. No. But it's better.
Yes. It means he doesn't auto-die like a bitch.
Yes. +2 physical defense, +1 energy defense, so he's 4/3/3 now. Mm-hmm. Big stuff first. His strike attack, they did the thing that we talked about being the worst thing about him.
Yep.
He now has a builder. His strike gains power for damage dealt, and was increased to 7 dice base.
Right.
Very nice. Very nice.
Such a big deal. Huge deal.
Yeah, Thunderclap remains unchanged, and Hulk Smash remains unchanged, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Being a character that has an unrestricted size on his throw is pretty cool, because his Hulk Smash... Oh, there's actually a revised card posted online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it was never size restricted. I was just double checking. So being one of the few characters that can throw Dormammu is still pretty cool. Gamma Leap is unchanged.
Wait,
strongest one there.
Where are you getting that? Strongest one there is? Still says both of size 4 or less.
I didn't say that.
I thought you just said he was one of the only characters that... What?
Yeah, he's one of the only characters that can throw Dormammu.
I thought Dormammu was size 5.
With Hulk Smash is what I said.
Oh, with Hulk Smash, the attack.
With Hulk Smash.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying the strongest one. Never mind. Yep, you're right.
You're good. I'm going to continue now.
Yep.
So Gamma Leap is still unchanged. Strongest one there is still unchanged.
Mm-hmm.
He gained a new power called Hulk Not Puny Banner. Costs 3 power, is a reactive. While this character is defending its physical or energy attack, during the modified dice step of the attack, it may use a superpower. Reroll any number of defense dice. Not all, but any. And you may reroll skulls using this power. That's pretty awesome, because if you get a nice explosive roll, you can reroll only the fails, which is pretty great. So yeah, those will give you a chance to kind of shrug off some of those really big hits, or just not take damage from the really annoying ones.
Yeah.
Moving down, Inner Rage still gives him 3 power a turn. You Wouldn't Like Me When I'm Angry has been nerfed. Now you only add 1 die for every 4 damage on him, not every 3 damage on him. Which doesn't sound that big until you realize that means he caps out at plus 4 dice, not plus 6 dice. But you get there slower. It's okay. Another big change, though, he's now immune to stun. That's huge.
That's really big deal.
It used to be Hawkeye would shoot Hulk 1 time and you would never interact with him again. It's like, oh, okay, Hulk's gonna shake stun, but not have enough power to Gamma Leap because I was stunned. You're like, cool, I'll stun Hulk again. God damn it. It's so annoying. Yeah, I used to play Second Wind just to get rid of stun, and that card sucks. Oh, man. The only thing I would have liked to see different here is see him pick up Aggressive. I think Aggressive would have been a perfect rule for Hulk. Especially since She-Hulk already has it, and it's such a good interaction. I think that would be the thing that would make him excessive, maybe. So maybe they would have had to not give him something, like maybe not give him the Hulk not puny banner thing. I'd rather have Aggressive.
They probably have to take off Gamma Leap if they did that, just for it's another movement.
Yeah, maybe I could see that too.
Yeah,
Aggressive is a pretty big deal, but that's kind of just I like characters with Aggressive. Yeah, overall, lots of very good changes. They really addressed the things that he needed and not just made him better in general. They didn't give him more of what didn't work. They actually went in and solved problems. So those very smart changes, well thought out, and I like it.
Now that he has a builder, I'm horrified. Like, he is so scary now.
Yeah, well, because when he starts with 10 power, he might end with 10 power, and that's terrible. Yeah, there was so many times you'd get, because he has such a huge health pool, you'd get to like 10 power and then get over capped, and it's like, oh, well, I'll just do 8 more damage to Hulk, and he won't gain any power for it. It was so annoying. And so your turn, it was like, well, I have 10, which is not enough to leap and Hulk smash twice, which was infuriating. It's like, why don't I have 11 power so I can do the thing I'm obviously supposed to do? I kind of wish also his Hulk smash wasn't tied to wilds. Yeah, I just don't like relying on wilds. I can't count how many times early on I would fail to get a wild on like 12 or 14 dice. I'm like, God damn it. Like, and it's like the attack is just okay without it. Like stagger, whatever. If you're throwing that many dice, they're probably not going to live through it, so it doesn't matter. The throw is important.
I also really like they went up to 7 dice for like parity's sake. I like that they did that.
No, yeah, very good changes.
Now you can build an actual Avengers team.
Yeah. Yeah, his strike is basically identical to Sensational Uppercut, except instead of his attack generating slow automatically, he pushes on a wild. So, pretty similar. I like it. And then the defense rest is 9 dice, as where Hulk Smash is only 8, but I would argue that Hulk Smash has better like additive abilities. Also, that Hulk's just going to hit harder as the game goes on, and She-Hulk kind of doesn't. She's more controlled, which it feels right for their like backstories too. Like, Isn't she more in control when she Hulks out?
Oh yeah, only in the modern stories is she like more rage monster. But yeah, traditional She-Hulk. The She-Hulk definitely in this game is the professional lawyer with green skin and super strength, and weirds out Jeremy with her over musculature.
I like my She-Hulk like ripped. Like, so ripped that there's, like, valleys in the muscle, you know, when it's like you can see the individual fibers and they're flexing independently of each other. That's what I like to see.
Yeah.
I like my She-Hulk as the baby She-Hulk.
Baby She-Hulk. 6 pound, 4 ounce She-Hulk.
I like veins like the size of garden hoses, and I like to see them pulsing with all the, like, the green blood flowing through their veins. Jeremy just like covering his ears and closing his eyes and like leaning from side to side, going to his happy place.
We don't have the card for it yet, but my favorite bit of news, because this is one of my favorite characters in the game, and it makes her a little bit more playable in more than one spot, is Captain Marvel. Her binary form has been confirmed. It's going down to 4 cost. and I am super excited.
I would like to point out how this got spoiled is Pagani was caught using it at cost 4 on stream, and people were calling him a cheater, and then they clarified after the game was over, no, I just forgot that we haven't changed it yet. I was like, oh, okay.
Nice.
That was pretty funny. I think the best thing that happened during the streams, though, did you guys watch the Crysis game they played?
No.
Josh played Pagani on stream. Josh is their art director guy. But anyway, so Josh is playing X-Men with Jean, Scott, Colossus, and Rogue and Beast into Hulkbuster Avengers, played by Pagani. And who was it? It was it was Captain Marvel, binary formed, Omega beamed, Jean, and Kilder. And Josh is just kind of sitting there thinking about what to do, and Schick types in the stream chat, use the card, Josh, in all caps several times, and then starts, and you can hear it on the screen from down the hall. He's screaming Jean at the top of his lungs, and he jumps up and sprints down the hallway to make sure Josh plays the card. And he just comes screaming in the room. He's like, play the card! It's like, oh, right, I play Jean. It was pretty funny.
Yep.
He's like, help from outside the game.
Yeah, a little bit. A skosh.
Yeah, it was great how quickly he realized that Josh was going to forget to play the card. It was awesome. All right, so is that it? Are we done with the stupid news segment?
For Captain Marvel binary form going down to 4, what does it actually do? Does it
that means it costs 3 because you play Avengers.
Right, so it only costs 3. So you don't.
Well, if you think about it, that's huge. In Avengers, right, she gets to do it every turn because she's getting 1 normally and 1 for each of her energy blasts.
Right.
So it's just a sustainable engine now.
Yeah,
which is perfect.
Which is what she could do in Cabal before, but she had to get up to 5 for it to start happening, and now
the problem was getting to the 5 threshold first.
Right.
But yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, she's gonna be. I am so excited because I love just I love the reroll Captain Marvel beams. I am so pumped. My Captain America's getting better. Both my captains are getting better. I'm so excited.
So doing the math in my head real quick, if you're running Sam Avengers, and you have Sam and Captain Marvel, you can drop her off turn 1 if you can move Cap forward just a bit, and then throw the shield. Oh no, because he has to do it before he does a move action. So that's less likely. They'd have to move way on your side of the board. All right, so never mind. I was just trying to see if you could get her. She can still move once, shoot. So that's 2 power turn 1. Turn 2, she's going to power up to 3, binary form, and double tap if she's with regular Cap. If not, you'll only get binary on one of the shots. And so you'd probably just save it. But yeah, so then it doesn't really start till turn 3. But yeah, so I think Steve Cap, or you'll play somebody that can like give her a power maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still much better.
I have now 10 tactic slots. Maybe I'll get to play the Air Force, which I don't know if it's a good card.
It's true.
But I actually could play the Air Force.
It's true.
That'd be fun.
All right. Is that it? Is there anything else we need to talk about for news?
I think that's all the news. Maybe we forgot something, but that seem like a whole bunch.
I know I said this last week, but I do recommend if you have some free time going in and checking out some of the streams. Specifically the ones where they talk about Marvel Crisis Protocol or they're playing games. It's really nice to see that they care so much about the game, because you can tell they really care when like they're playing the games. They're having such a good time, and when they're talking about the new upcoming releases, they're not just talking about how, well, we decided to give him range 4 because it's a long range attack and we wanted to be able to affect them. But they're talking about like, oh man, remember this story arc when like so and so fought this guy and you saw this like totally different side of the character. It's like they actually care about the character, not just the rules, and that's good to see. There's a lot of games out there where the people making the game don't give a shit about the content.
Yeah.
FFG.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And we've said this many times that this is the reason why if you love anything about any of the fluff, you'll play the character. You're like, wow, this feels like they should be. Like feels like what they should be. There's so many examples of that in this game.
Yeah. All right, cool. So moving on to the next segment, we're gonna jump straight to from the forums because we're almost out of time.
Oh boy.
So from the forums, we've got some barn burners today, guys.
Let's burn those barns. I don't like barns anyway.
So we're gonna go to a golden oldie here. Jeremy, tell me if you remember this one. Storm with X-Men Gold. Can Storm choose to place within range 2 of a dazed character?
The answer used to be yes. Did it change?
Nope, still yes. So you can, with a character, choose a dazed ally within range 2 and place within range 1 of it. And the specific wording is, because I want to get this exactly correct, so I'm going to pull it straight off the card. Let me pull up Storm real quick. All right, Storm. If you use this leadership ability, choose an allied character within range 2 of the active character. Okay, so that's the format of the wording. Next question. Deal with the Devil. Can Ghost Rider use a dazed character as a target for Deal with the Devil? So let's go to Deal with the Devil card. Pulling it up now. Choose another allied character. So that's the wording.
Yep.
Guess what the answer to this question is?
No.
No, dazed characters cannot be affected by special rules.
Huh.
Can
Yes.
someone fucking explain this to me? And if you listen to the pre-ramble, this is when I said I was getting hot. This is so fucking stupid. There is no excuse for this. It's the same wording. There's no, well, one says target, one says choose, and you can't target people that are dazed. That's not the situation. They both say choose an allied character. And one is okay, one is not.
I don't get it.
It doesn't make any sense. And this is exactly like what I was talking about with the Domino problem. When they released Domino, there was a special sentence in her ruling that said, before resolving crits, it specified when it happened. And they've said multiple times, you use the rules when they say to use them. So like Pierce happens when you're modifying dice. If you have a wild at that time, you get to use it. And so it doesn't matter if you have a wild after or if you have a wild before. It matters if you have a wild when you would resolve Pierce. And with Domino, her ability says before resolving criticals, you spend the power and modify the dice. It breaks the normal timing. But because of that, they said characters released in Wave 1 who said after rolling dice, you use it, and then you modify the dice. They said, well, you have to use it before resolving crits too, even though your card doesn't say when resolving crits, or before resolving crits. It says after rolling dice. And guess what's after rolling dice? The modified dice thing. I hate this so much.
So basically, they've ruled 2 rules exactly the same way, citing something they've just made up that doesn't apply to everything.
Yes. They've basically just
weird.
said, it works this way because there is no evidence given in either example that makes any sense when referenced to the other ability. And it doesn't matter. Like, how often does Storm's leadership matter? It's the precedent of not having consistent ruling. I don't understand. Everything else about this game follows a very specific wording and, like, causality description. Like, if it says can't affect people that are dazed, you can't affect people that are dazed. But for some reason, we've decided that fucking Storm should be able to affect them. It doesn't make any sense. If you can't choose them, you can't choose them. If you can choose them, you can. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense that one is one way, one is the other. It'd be like Shuri being able to push people who are dazed. It makes no fucking sense.
Right.
Alright. So anyway, moving on to the next question.
So long story short, now every single time you ever want to do something to a dazed character, check the forums because you never know what the fuck.
This is such a terrible precedent because now, well, I know this other character has a very similar worded ability, but now we have to have clarification on this one too. And then on the next guy that has an ability like that. And then on the next guy that has an ability like that, just because. It's like, you've just separated, like, there's just makes no sense. Alright, moving on. Next question. I'm going to throw this guy directly under the bus wheels. This guy is asking... Man, I'm trying to read this in a way that doesn't sound really dumb. Aggressive says, quote, after an attack, targeting this character is resolved, space. If the character suffered damage in brackets, the damage symbol, it may advance short towards the attacker. Does this mean, A,
Oh, God.
Attacker causes damage to crossbones, so the innate ability triggers. Or B, a attack targeting crossbows is made that causes no damage, period. However, there is one damage token on the crossbones card, so he has, quote, suffered damage.
Hell yeah. That
Then
one.
this innate
That
ability
one.
triggers,
That
which
one.
is correct. Oh my
One
God.
is much more awesome than the other.
Directly under the bus wheels. I'd like to imagine someone in his local playgroup was arguing that B works, and he's like, I'll clarify, but I'm pretty sure it's no. I would like to imagine that. But yeah, it's obviously A. The fact
Damn it.
that, like, that would mean that when you attack somebody with a builder, you would gain power equal to damage on their card, which would be insane.
That's
It's like if
awesome.
you attack Hulk, you gain 20 power. Like, what the fuck? I'm so lost.
Well, it's pretty balanced, Jeremy, because you can't actually have 20 power. It would cap at 10. So
Right.
there's
Yeah.
the balance.
Unless you were
Yeah.
dazed at the time, then you could have an infinite amount, because that's logical, right?
Yeah, because if you're dazed at the time, you're not affected by special rules. Therefore,
Yeah.
you can hold 10
There's
power.
no power cap.
Yeah, you can hold 20 power. Yeah.
I can't make it any clearer.
Yeah.
You guys are just intentionally not listening, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
It sounds like
all
you're
right,
sabotaging.
Next up. I'm starting to dislike the forum people. All right, next question. Timing for declaring leaderships. I don't know if this is in the rulebook or not. With the new Hulkbuster out, this has been coming up more often. If both players have multiple possible choices for leadership abilities, who chooses leadership, or is it secret choice, simultaneous reveal? The answer is, if both characters have multiple characters that are valid leaders, the person with priority chooses leadership first. So that's nice to know.
So it's a slight disadvantage if you're trying to counter your opponent. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Person with priority has a disadvantage. Sure. We found it. There's the one disadvantage for player with priority.
Well, that means every time I win the roll, I'm going to force the roll again. I'm going to make sure that never happens.
Are you going to be using Peter Quill or Dormammu? Wait, Dormammu.
Or wait.
Has to be
Has to be
Dormammu. I'm
Dormammu.
sorry. I didn't mean to throw you off.
I mean, it is legal to have. There's now a possibility that you have 3 legal leaders in a list now.
We already had that with Criminals, Spider Foes, and Cabal. Remember, you could make a roster that could be all
That's true. And that's actually 3 different affiliations. This is just one affiliation with 3 different leaders.
There you go. There you're right. Sorry.
Yeah,
you're right.
I was just like, you're just playing Avengers with 3 possible leaders.
But that's
I don't know that that's a good list, but
Yeah.
that would be weird. All right, last up on from the forums, we have Maximum Carnage and Paint the Town Red. This is pretty obvious, but I just want to point it out that this would be a mess. So, if Carnage targets multiple enemies with Maximum Carnage and dazes his first target, can he interrupt his attack action to use Paint the Town Red, which would then allow him to heal, move, and make a new attack?
good.
Yes. Yes, he can.
Yeah.
Let me double check. Can that attack also be a Maximum Carnage attack? That would be amazing. Resolving multiple AoE attacks simultaneously. That would be the best.
You do damage, so it automatically do damage to everybody, and then you attack somebody next to them, which automatically does damage to the first one. I don't know if that's good.
No. Your Paint the Town Red attack has to be a Symbiote Tendrils attack.
That's true.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Damn it. So close. All right. Fun stuff still, though. So that's what I was talking about earlier when I was like, I'm going to ask a forum post, literally screenshotting both of his rulings. Like, can you fucking explain yourself?
Yeah. Are you going to do this?
I'm going to make the post. I just didn't want to do it mid podcast.
Okay. I'll be excited.
Mm-hmm.
Top story next podcast. Tune in. We're going to find out.
Yeah.
What did they say?
Boy.
We're throwing the gauntlet down, and we'll see how EMG responds.
Mm-hmm. All right. Are you guys good to wrap up? Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I'm really excited for rules update. I'm very, very excited for it. Every time this kind of thing happens in a game, it's only great for the game, for the player base. Initially, you never know how it's going to shake out eventually, but initially,
Yeah, I would really like to see them do something about priority. One thing I brought up at the shop yesterday was I would like to see them give the choice of point total to the player not going first, the player without priority. because currently they have every decision, because you get to choose which color of mission to draw. You get to choose one of the two missions. Then you get to choose the point total, and then you get to build your list. And like it's just so many. Like the other person gets to choose board edge, I guess. But if you getting to choose color and point total is just too much, I think. So if your opponent got to choose point total, you'd have to think twice about jamming Gamma Wave down their throat every time, right? Because you have to actually play 15 points, and your list doesn't work at 15. And so I just think it would add a lot more complexity to the game.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
According to Jeremy, every metric says their best affiliation is priority. So
That's what they came up with.
Best
Yeah,
affiliation is priority. What?
the highest win rate affiliation is have priority. That's the biggest metric to determining winner of a game is priority by a mile. It's
Now-
like 60% win rate.
I'm not going to say that it's 100% accurate, but I will say that it's parallel. I have not had priority in the last 6 games I've played, and I've lost all
Immediately.
6 of them.
Yeah.
I'm just
60%
saying.
of the time, the player with priority wins every time.
Yes, and my
We need
favorite,
more Anchorman reference.
yeah, my favorite She-Hulk is 6 pound 3 ounce baby
Little baby
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk. Doesn't even know a word yet.
Doesn't even
It's
know a
actually-
word yet.
It's interesting that you
Damn
mentioned that. My X-Force games have all felt great, but every single time I review the game, I tell myself, well, I did get
Conveniently,
priority
you
and 19
had
points.
priority, chose the mission you wanted, and got 19 points.
Yep. And so I'm like,
Yep.
then
Weird.
I was like, and then it worked out mysteriously well for my X-Force, which really likes to have 19 points in a mission that brawls. Like, and that made me
It's
feel
like-
bad, not about X-Force, but just kind of about the game, because I was like, ugh,
It's
that means
it's
that,
that butterfly meme. The guy's like, "Is this what a good faction looks like? Like
Yeah.
winning priority?"
yeah, it's not. I agree with you that there needs to be some sort of worse problem than if I'm playing the same number of models of my opponent, I'll give them priority later. Like that's the only problem right now. That's not a big enough problem.
Yeah.
to have
I
priority.
think it should be big enough of an impact to where the person who won priority would want to defer. Like it would be a choice. It wouldn't be automatically, yes, I'm taking
Mhm.
priority. You would actually think about it.
Right. I didn't even know deferment in this game was an option. I just assumed
It's not. It's actually legally not. If you
Yeah.
roll higher, you go first.
Yeah.
Which is just a sign to how overpowered priority is. They never even assume somebody would want to go second.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem.
Ugh, I really don't like that because
Yeah.
that's you consenting tacitly consenting that you gave this an enormous advantage. You're at a
Mhm.
huge advantage. What a weird.
I don't know if that was their thought process at the time, but yeah.
Well, this
And I think it's shown multiple times here that the core rules were the things they spent the least amount of time on.
Yeah.
Because I think they basically ported in the Star Wars Legion rules, ripped out all the stuff they immediately hated, jammed in rules from War Machine to fill the gaps, and then played a bunch of games and then kind of smoothed over the rough edges.
Yeah.
I don't think they really spent that much time playtesting core rules. They spent way more time balancing the models.
also it's funny because thinking about games like Star Wars also has a really important, like X-Wing, it also has a really important mechanic to having priority, right? To having that initiative, but
Yeah.
you have to pay for it when you're list building. And this game, there's no strategic choice. It's just not a coin flip, but it's just a luck of the dice. So whoever gets lucky in the dice gets an enormous advantage. There's nothing you can do to prepare for it or to care about having it more than your opponent. You just get it or not. That's
The thing I also suggested, man, we're just going to make this a 4-hour podcast.
Yeah.
The thing I also suggested is, what if second player got to pick their mission? No randomization. You just pick one of your 3,
Mhm.
and player with priority had to draw one at random. So you split the difference. So player with priority gets a random mission, and the player going second gets to pick any of their 3. Or hell, they can even pick any of their 3 after the other person's chosen their mission. Like, I don't care. Pick one. Like, there needs to be a noticeable change in priority power.
How you could roll for each one. That might be fun.
Roll for each one?
Red or
Oh,
blue?
roll for each decision?
I'll take blue. All right, so you got a 19 point and a 17 point. All right, let's see who gets to pick. Roll for that.
Yeah.
All right, roll for
I think out
priority.
of that, it'd be more time consuming.
Yeah. But if we're doing random missions, man, let's go. Let's just do it. Let the
No, I think
D8
there's a lot of simple changes I think you could make, and because there's always a better option, but it's always more complicated and hard and more work to implement. Like, because you could go, it's like, well, you could assign characters an initiative value, and then you could have a total initiative value for your roster that would determine who gets priority in a game. You just compare total initiative value, and like that would be really complicated and hard to balance, and it would be abusable maybe. So it'd take a lot of playtesting, and you have to reprint a bunch of cards. So that's obviously like a cool option that isn't practical. And then you could just say opponent gets to choose point total, which is very simple and elegant and easy to implement and very hard to abuse, right? And so you want to definitely lean into that, especially with the way the core rules are. You want to lean into the simple and elegant options as hard as you can. And so that's why I think there's multiple good, easy options, like the opponent gets full choice, priority player gets no choice on mission, or just choose the point total, or fuck, maybe the person who gets all the decisions just goes second. Like, what's wrong with that? Like, player who wins the roll, gives up priority, makes all the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Just give the other person the priority token, because they got no choices. Yeah. Anyway. Well, looks like that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for signing in and listening to our podcast. Hopefully you had a good time. This has been Brandon, or Mutilus on the forums.
This has been Dr. Mantis Toboggan, MD.
This is Jeremy. Still just love Rogue. Just the best thing that's hit
Rogue's the best.
X-Men in the last 63
You're all
years.
entitled to your opinion.
You're not wrong, because every other
You ain't wrong, sugar.
X-Men model is hot dog shit. So, moving on. All right. And you have just listened to Finish Him.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
Huzzah!
Okay.
It's
And
happening.
just like that, we are off to the races.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay.
Charging.
News.
Yeah, we have some news.
Okay, seals. Okay, I'm just gonna start. I'm just gonna start doing things in the order you put them in the general channel, and you can tell me
Okay.
to stop. What is? You said Dormammu set. What does that mean, Brandon?
That's Dormammu.
Oh, that intrusions comes with Dormammu. I see. You know what anime I started watching the other day? A really, really old one that I had forgotten how much I enjoyed. I don't know if you guys ever saw it.
Ninja Scroll.
No, Trigun.
So good. I wouldn't mind raping a dead girl.
I was gonna rape you anyway. Like, what the fuck? Trigun's pretty awesome until like the last 3 episodes.
Oh, really? I thought the end of the show was great.
It's so stupid.
You don't like how knives?
They were clearly just trying to go over the top.
You don't like the?
They're like
Really?
dueling with arm cannons that destroy continents. Like, none of it made any fucking sense.
What do you mean? Like he cancels it? He like vaporizes everything around him and he cancels it out like null point energy thing. And he tries to kill. I didn't see anything about it.
They went from just being like badass like gunslingers to like Akira level like bullshit. And I was like, nope.
Well,
I'm done.
that's just that's like the last 30 seconds of the last fight.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Okay. So specifically the last fight, that was the dumb part. Everything else was fine.
Okay.
It was just that was stupid.
Okay. Sure.
That's the first time I can remember there being like the main character's kind of a doofus joke character, except when he gets serious, and then it's like, no kidding.
Yeah.
And that's been used a lot over the years.
Mm-hmm.
like One Punch Man, One Piece.
Yeah, it's the first time I remember seeing that kind of character as well.
I wish I enjoyed anime.
Did you you watched a little bit of Attack on Titan, right?
I watched like up to season 3.
Mm-hmm. That one is surprisingly hard to stick with. Like, it's the slow parts of the show are very like often, but then like randomly shit will hit the fan and it goes like to an 11
Yeah.
out of nowhere. And so you kind of got to stick with it. And you got to like know what's going on, or else a lot of it just gets boring. You're like, I don't know why these two people are talking or what they're talking about or why it's important because I didn't read the fucking like stupid bullshit from 3 episodes ago.
I mean, for some reason they do that flash of information that you actually don't have time to read, but it actually has important
You're
stuff.
supposed to pause it.
No. So
Yes, you actually are supposed to.
why the
pause it.
fuck would you do that?
Also,
Why wouldn't a show give you what you
Keep in
need?
mind that most people that watch anime watch it in the original Japanese with subtitles, so a lot of them are used to reading very quickly while they're also watching a TV show. That's not me. I'm a slow reader.
So
It took me 3 weeks to get through the Hulkbuster card.
that's true.
That's why I do the news section with you guys. You read it to me.
Anyway, I think that there should always be. I'm sure there's an extensive wiki on Attack on Titan that would probably make me enjoy it much more. I think I'm beyond the. If I don't understand it at first, I'm just over it.
Did you watch it in English or Japanese?
English.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't about to read it. I'm not giving that much effort. Good God.
You should watch One Punch Man. I think you'd enjoy.
Oh, I love
Man.
One Punch Man. That was cool.
Okay. So if you liked One Punch Man, what else can we have?
You'd probably like Cowboy Bebop. It's just a good show.
I don't think he would. I think
You don't
it's
think
too
so?
slow.
Really? Okay.
There's a lot of. I mean, it's good, but it is slow. It's an opera.
Yeah. It's like a western. It's actually more like it's like a western. If you like westerns, you'd like it. Westerns are slow.
It's hard to say.
Okay.
I mean,
So I watched Tokyo Ghoul, or at least I watched 2.5 seasons of Tokyo Ghoul, and the first season's like wants to be a murder show, but like it's not a murder show. It's very slow, except for a couple parts. The second season is a murder show. It's just let's make the most gory bullshit ever, and you're like, oh okay. And then the third season is just so different. I don't know what's happening. I've watched like 10 episodes of the third season. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. But what you should watch is My Hero Academia. I think you'd like that.
that one's good.
Mm-hmm. It still does the normal Japanese pandering crap where it's like everything's like got to be like over dramatized and everything, and they have to like tell you about the person's backstory every time you meet them. But it doesn't harp on it to the point where it's like, okay, we get it. But like when they bring it up, it's usually very short and to the point. And they make up for a lot of like the skipped over like refresher stuff by just putting captions above that. It's like, this is this person, this is what they can do, and you're like, oh, that's right. I don't remember that from a year ago when we met this person. And so it just like tells you what their powers are over their head.
That's
You're like,
funny.
oh, okay. But yeah, it's basically typical superhero culture where people have superpowers. And like being a superhero is like a normal job. It's basically One Punch Man, but more realistic and with more of like the generic hero archetype.
And I mean,
But the main character is a powerless person, and like they want to be a hero, and he's a kid in high school, and so it follows him, and things get going pretty quickly. But the story's really good, and the action scenes are really good.
I feel like
One Punch Man, the action is amazing, but like the story is mostly a joke on purpose to make fun of how stupid anime like storylines are. So that's why it's great, because it's just satire.
I know that there's a place for me in anime. Like some stuff I really like. Like I like One Punch Man.
You probably love Trigun. Did you watch Trigun?
I've never seen Trigun.
Trigun's pretty solid.
Like I really enjoy Invincible.
Trigun's
It's
a
amazing.
very American-based anime.
Yeah.
Like it's just an action cartoon.
I like Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, but if you like pro wrestling, you'll like My Hero Academia.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's super campy,
Oh,
but it's not
so
campy
good.
in a childish way. It's campy in like an adult way.
yeah. I'll have to check it out. I'm always looking for one. Every once in a while, I find something that's pretty cool. Again, I was watching Titan for various reasons, and I gave up on it. So I'll live.
I'm pretty sure My Hero's on Hulu. so you should just watch it like after this.
One that blew my mind that I'm still like freaked out about is Evangelion. I watched a little bit of that. The
Nah.
movies. Oh my
I
god!
haven't watched it.
I never. I always tell people that's like if Neon Genesis Evangelion is held
That's the
up
deep end,
as art.
deep end of the pool.
It's held up as art in the same way that The Watchmen is held up in art and comic books. I always tell people, if you like comics, do not ever read the fucking Watchmen. You will hate everything about that fucking comic because it's the most dense philosophical bullshit. It is so unentertaining to read. It's like reading. It's like somebody telling somebody, "Oh, you really like novels? You should read 1,000 Years of Solitude." And you're like, yes, 1,000 Years of Solitude is a monstrous masterpiece of literature, but it's so fucking hard to read. Like, why would you do that to anyone? In the same,
Or just the Wheel of Time series in general.
yeah. So that just like, just don't. I tell people if you like anime, do not watch Neon Genesis. Watch it when you are have like gone to the edge of anime and you're like, I wonder what people do when they're experimenting with weird bullshit. Like then watch Neon Genesis and like Fooly Cooly, like watch those shows. Like those shows are fucking amazing pieces of art, but do not touch them if you want to just like experience anime. I always tell people if you've watched a lot of anime and you haven't seen Fooly Cooly, you need to see Fooly Cooly. It's the weirdest bullshit you'll see in your life, but it's fantastic. Have you seen Fooly Cooly, Brandon?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's just so. But do not watch Fooly Cooly if you've never seen an anime before. You'll instantly be turned off by it, by the same reason that you'd be turned off by Neon Genesis or The Watchmen or 1,000 Years of Solitude. Like, it's the same thing. They're amazing. You will hate them.
Yeah. Parker in here making all the fans with his what was it? What was the fucking series you said don't watch it? Watchmen, that was it. Parker in here with his great comic hot takes like Watchmen and Rogue both suck. Like he's just getting us all the fans.
Did you like the
Parker,
HBO
you're already
Watchmen
the
series?
most hated person on the podcast. You're just going off the deep end.
Did you watch the Watchmen series?
I did not get to watch the Watchmen series.
So good.
I have. I mean, have you read the book?
I have not read the books.
It's
Okay.
not based on the comic. It's based in the world of the comic.
Okay. So
It happens like 40 years later or earlier, or it's not in the same time frame.
okay, like
It's right after the movies where, the guy who's really fast, like, got exiled into like the Arctic and disappeared at the end of the movie.
right, Ozymandias.
Yes, so it's right after that.
Okay. Yeah,
It's literally right after. Spence told me it was like 20 or 30 years later.
It might be. Yeah, it very possibly could be. But
We
it
just
was,
know it's after
it was
the events
after.
of Watchmen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it really doesn't matter. It's its own thing. So
that world is fantastic, and like reading Dr. Manhattan speak is like reading esoteric philosophy. It's fantastic. But if you don't like watching a superhero stand on the surface of Mars and just spout esoteric philosophy for like 40 panels, then you will hate The Watchmen. You will not like it because you have to, for every amazing super dramatic action-packed scene with Rorschach, there's just page after page after page after page after page of just esoteric and societal treatise and philosophy. So, in fact, in the actual Watchmen comic, there are like 10 to 15 page segments of the comic that are just journals and journalist interviews that are just text, like no graphic whatsoever.
good lord.
And so,
Actually, that just.
go ahead.
I don't know why, but you talking about that just made me realize that I think the Watcher from What If sounds just like the guy who plays Dr. Manhattan.
It's not. It's actually the guy from the.
It's a different guy.
Yeah, the guy who plays the Watcher is the guy from the Hunger Games series. He's the one of the older guys who like tweaks things. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He's a character actor. He's done a ton of things. I think he was in Lost also. I think.
Okay.
As soon as you see a picture of him, you're like, oh yeah, that guy. He's a character actor, but done a ton of stuff. I can't remember his name right now.
The fact that Dr. Manhattan exists.
Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah, that's his name.
The fact that Manhattan exists in the whole Watchmen series makes the Watchmen series interesting. Because all the struggles and things, the fact that he doesn't help, and it's like always possible that he could help, is completely crazy. You know, like that makes it so much more interesting.
He voiced Batman.
Did he in the animated series?
The TV series Batman: The Audio Adventures.
Oh.
So it was like and then there's also ARK, the animated series. He does a lot of like comic-based stuff, which is kind of like that's what happens when you get into like the nerd realm. You just get typecast, or you enjoy the culture of it. So I don't know which it is, but there's people that once they get into it, like they just can't, like they never get another role that's not in that group. Yeah, he was BT in the Hunger Games.
Yep, that's him.
I have no idea who that was in the movie because I didn't really care about the movies.
He was when they did the Quarter Quell, and in order to rig Katniss to die, they force the previous champions to compete again just to get Katniss to die, and he's one of the other former champions who befriends Katniss and helps throughout the games. And then later you find out he's part of the Resistance. He was part of the like Machiavellian plan. Spoiler alert, Hunger Games, that he's part of the Machiavellian
Hunger
plan.
Games is a giant pile of shit, so I don't know why anybody would need spoilers.
Listen, Katniss spelled with a K, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Peter spelled P-T-A.
Pita.
P-T-A. Pita.
Pita.
What the hell is that? That makes me so mad.
He was Sidney Beckett in the Young Indiana Jones television series.
He was?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, this guy's just done a bunch of random stuff. The Hunger Games is fine young adult literature. It's not great young adult literature. It's just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, anyway, back on the topic of anime, Trigun was like the early 2000s version of I'm too mature for Dragon Ball Z, and so I'm going to go watch Trigun and think I'm a badass. Like, that's basically like the natural progression of Americans watching anime. Everyone like in my high school knew what Trigun was, and they were like, "Oh, it's like so much better than Dragon Ball Z." I was like, "Well, yeah, it's a very low bar because Dragon Ball Z was terrible."
Yeah,
it's like it was a fun action cartoon, but like there was almost no story, and the fights were so milked for content.
Are you talking about Dragon Ball Z, right?
Yeah.
Trigun is like a anime version of a Western. It's just set in a very Western planet. It's just like a sci-fi Western. I think it's pretty cool. I've always felt like I was impressed by its. It does that job of post-apocalyptic, seed, planet, humans living on another world thing, but it does put a few interesting twists on the story, and the main character is captivating.
Has it got like 40 seasons?
Nope, just 12 episodes total, I think. No.
It's pretty short.
The grand total is 26 total. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 seasons.
And it feels like a great beginning, middle, end. It's well done.
It is an entire story arc. They didn't just keep making it.
Yeah. They also
it was clearly intended to end.
Right. After it became super popular in the States, they made a movie, which is just a standalone extra adventure featuring the main character.
Trigun, also on Hulu.
Yeah.
So was Cowboy Bebop. And unfortunately, Outlaw Star.
Outlaw Star.
I hated Outlaw Star.
Now, Outlaw Star was... Okay, Outlaw Star is the, bad version of Trigun. If you're trying...
Yeah. Outlaw Star is the people who do acid and think they're edgy. Yeah. Try and make Trigun.
Yeah. It's just we're going to make a really cool adventure character. He's going to be kind of a loafish oaf, and we're going to have him fight who? Space pirates. Cool, but how does he fight them? Well, he needs a cool gun. Great. Just like Trigun? No, not just like Trigun. It'll be different, I bet. Also, the ships have arms. Okay, cool. What do they do with the arms? Punch other ships.
You mean wrestle? They grapple with other ships.
Grapple, right.
Your ships have to do Greco-Roman wrestling, or else it's not a cool show.
But then, what about, but who else, does everybody have arms? No, just the pirates, because they're fighting dirty. What does the police force have? Missiles and rockets? And how do the pirates have an advantage in this fight? They're bringing arms to a missile fight, and apparently they just are walking all over the authorities with their awesome arms.
It's really dumb.
And so, get this, Jeremy. In order to fight back, the police force military group decides they're going to make their own badass grappler ship, and this one's got arms. Oh, shit. It's the first amazing ship that has arms, but it's done by the police.
It's got arms.
And now it's got arms. And
Yeah, so for anyone wondering, if you've ever seen like Star Trek and you're like, man, what is the most jankiest ripoff of this that exists? And then you see like Farscape, you're like, oh, found it.
Yeah.
the Outlaw Star is the Farscape of anime. It's like we just took another premise, ripped it off horribly, and made it really weird.
Mm-hmm.
That's Outlaw Star.
That being said, what was it? 17-year-old Parker ate all that shit all up. Like it was.
Oh, I couldn't get into it. It was so dumb.
I don't think I tried to watch it again as an adult, and I can't listen to the dialogue, even in Japanese.
Yeah.
I can't. Like I can't read it.
It is weird how sometimes you can listen, like you can read text dialogue and it sounds not so bad, but then you hear someone speak it in your language, you're like, oh no, I gotta turn this, I gotta stop this.
The movie that did that for me is Kung Fu Hustle, the Chinese comedy. I the first time I watched it, it was in Chinese, and I was pissing my pants reading the subtitles. That movie was fucking hilarious in Chinese. I watched it dubbed one day, and I was like, this is awful. Like, none of it's landing. And even though I granted I had already heard the jokes before, I was like, man, how is this so? Why doesn't this work? It actually sounds better in Chinese. Like the way they're doing it are obviously punchlines, and the emotion is better.
Yeah, the tempo just isn't there. Like the deliveries don't land when it's been like translated. That's like when you listen to like a foreign rap song and you're like, I don't get it. Like there's no rhythm because it's been translated. Like the pacing doesn't make sense in a sentence. Yeah,
I've seen Kung Fu Hustle many, many, many times, never dubbed, so that horrifies me. Like, it's hilarious. I love that movie, and it brought me to tears the first time I saw it. It's so funny.
If they're gonna make a movie like that, they need to do the double translate, where you translate it to something, then translate it to something else, then translate it back into your language.
Make it a joke of
and
itself.
you end up with the do not want.
Yeah,
do not want.
That's
for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about. There was someone who went. He was in China, right?
It was in Mandarin Chinese, yeah.
Yeah, so he was in China, an American in China at the time of Revenge of the Sith came out. So he went to see Revenge of the Sith in theaters, and they randomly had an option for an English viewing of it. And he's like, okay, well, I'll go to the English viewing.
It was English subtitles of the Mandarin.
Oh,
version.
right. So it's English subtitles. But it had been translated multiple times before they got it.
Right.
And so it was like translated into something which was translated into Mandarin, which was then subtitled in English.
Right.
And so at the end scene when Vader is standing in the room with the Emperor, and it's like, you killed Padme, and he starts crushing everything and screams, "Do not want!" So the whole movie was like, this is the single greatest movie I've ever seen.
For those of you who don't know, Mandarin Chinese, it does not translate into English well. That's why when some people go to like authentic Chinese restaurants and they try to read the menus, they get kind of disgusted because they'll see something like chicken dipped in eel. And you're like, oh, that sounds awful. Well, they're literally translating something that doesn't mean that at all. So that's what they were trying to do there. They were using English subtitles of a Mandarin version of that script. So it didn't work. The best part. So if you want to watch the YouTube, you can't YouTube Revenge of the Sith. You YouTube Star Wars Backstroke of the West. Because that's what it said. So in the title it goes dun 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 dun, dun, and the thing starts scrolling up. So by the way, it's scrolling up in English, but it's also being subtitled in Mandarin, and below that, the Mandarin the English subtitles of the Mandarin of the English. And so what you see above is Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, and then in the Mandarin characters, and then underneath that it says Star Wars Backstroke of the West. So that's
so perfect.
And so if you Google Backstroke of the West, what the guy did is, after he watched it the first time, he just thought this is the most amazing thing ever. He watched another viewing of it, and he just took stills of different moments in the movie that he thought the subtitles were just priceless. And so I don't know if you can see the whole thing, the whole movie, but what you can see is these pictures of different scenes, these different moments. My favorite is at one point Palpatine says, "You can't fight him. He's a Sith Lord," talking about Dooku, and so. And then they said, Chancellor, Sith Lords are our speciality. And so the Mandarin translation is Palpatine says, "You cannot fight him. He is a big." And then Obi-Wan turns and says, "Mr. Chancellor, we are for the big." and so,
Oh my god!
And so, for a while when we were playing Star Wars, whenever we would like have like a chode go up against Darth Vader, somebody would say, "Well, you can't fight him. He is a big." And we so Mr. Chancellor, he is for the big. Because
He is for the big.
he is for the big. Yeah,
Yep.
it will.
I think we need to make a segment out of this. We could call it the double dub.
Yeah.
And like I'll triple translate a card text, and you guys have to guess what it is.
Ooh, I
Okay,
like
that
that
would be
idea a
good.
lot.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna put it on the list so I don't forget about it. That'll be a future segment.
I'd be okay with calling it Backstroke of the West. That'd be.
Well, if
You
you
are
guys
big.
can come up with a better name for it, it's fine. But I can't.
I think we can. I think I can do it right now. Let me see right now.
I am for the
Mandarin.
We can
translator.
call it. We can call it the Kansas City Shuffle, where we just shuffle all the word meanings around.
Okay, let's see if I can do this. Here we go.
I'm curious what you are Googling / translating.
He's-
I'm
concocting.
just translating Marvel Crisis Protocol from English to Mandarin, which by the way is Hije Waje Zai, and then I'm going to put it back into
We should just call
English.
it Cheska.
Cheska Sabalba, Anakanika Nukin. That's just hardcore
No,
dialogue
no.
right there.
That's
No.
when you want to just let someone know they've been served. You say Anakanika Nuka.
Anakanika Nukin.
You're like, that's right. I'm better than you. You walk around on your hands, you little midget.
Here we go. Okay. Okay, this is actually pretty similar. Miracle Crisis Agreement is what it means.
Miracle Crisis Agreement. I like that.
Nice.
So Marvel
Miracle.
Crisis Protocol
Oh.
translates back into Miracle Crisis Agreement.
What if I will have to play around to see if there's some other languages. Good, Mandarin's a good one because
Yeah.
Mandarin uses like the formula words where it's like this word has like
Right.
meanings when it's combined with something else. So
Uh-huh.
there's no direct translation.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that video of the worst translator ever?
No.
Yes. Where
It's like the guy goes to a warehouse to do
Yes.
like this backroom deal, but he doesn't speak the dude's language.
Yeah.
And so the translator
It's
does
Spanish,
what
yeah.
technically translators are supposed to do, but is showcasing what you're not supposed to do when dealing with a translator is you speak to the other person, not to the translator. Because when you speak to the translator, they have to repeat what you said verbatim while translating it. And so it gets... But this guy specifically is a jackass.
Yeah.
Because he's almost like abusing it.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's great.
It's an arms deal. One guy walks up to the other and says, "You're the translator." And so the translator turns to the other guy and goes in the other language, "Are you the translator?" And the guy goes,
Oh,
"No,
God.
you're the translator." And he turns around and goes, "No, you're the translator." He goes, "I'm not the translator. You're the translator." And he turns around and goes,
Oh
"I'm
my
not the translator.
God.
You're the translator." And so
He's like,
he says,
"Why
"What's
are
going
you
on?"
here?"
He
It
says,
just escalates from there.
Right.
And he goes, "Can I talk to you alone for a second?" He goes, "Yeah." And then he like just wanders off.
yeah, he
He's like,
talks.
and
He
then
turns to the other guy. "Can I talk to
Oh,
you alone?"
God.
And they both. And he just. It's good.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That guy's variety show is pretty funny. That
Mhm.
that clip was from a variety show. It was on Comedy Central for a while. He had a lot of funny stuff on there.
Okay, so this is going to be the last big news segment we have for a while. Do you think we need an actual topic, or should we just have like an emergency topic in case we get through this real quick?
Oh, I'm sorry. What the?
I just want to have a plan if this doesn't take very long.
Okay. I have an
mean, it
idea.
could-
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Ooh, no, I got it.
Oh,
Oh.
Jesus.
That was awesome. What we just did was awesome.
Yep, wasn't it? Never mind.
Oh, that was actually kind of where I was going. I'll be interested to see what you think it is. I did have a quick clarification because I did not get to listen to the whole stream. I saw that you put a note on there that MODOK has reroll timing issues resolved, and Captain Marvel is going to get her binary form decreased.
Oh, well, we'll talk about that stuff.
No,
on
I know,
the
but
podcast.
I did not see what was different about Shuri and Captain America's card. I saw Hulk had several differences, but I didn't see Shuri and
we'll
Captain
cover
America's. Oh, but
Do you want me to explain it to you before we get to it in the podcast segment?
well, no, I just
I
didn't.
feel like we're just hitting it twice.
I know. I'm saying I usually talk about what the news is, and I read the cards and I didn't see it. So do you want me to just say Shuri's card's getting reworked? What do we like about that? And then,
and then I will talk about it.
Okay, cool.
And I'll explain. I don't want to explain it twice.
That's just fine. That was actually my question. Perfect. So yeah, news is updated as far as I know. Oh wait, hold on. I actually didn't. I actually didn't go to Atomic Mass Games yet. Let me double check and make sure there's something there.
I'm pretty sure we've been playing this wrong. I guess I don't know if we've ever actually done it. I'm going to point this out. I'm going to get pretty mad here in a little bit.
You're going to get mad?
Oh, I'm going to get hot. I almost want to make a post right now mid-podcast. That's how annoying I find this. Holy shit. Sorry, bro, you're about to get roasted.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy. That's going to be fun. Man, I wonder if they're going to fix Gamora. She is real bad.
So that was actually my topic I was going to do is quick, like maybe one or two a wish list of, now that we know errata is coming, like a wish list of cards that we would like to see errata for sure. That was mine.
I'm really hesitant to do that because every time I go online and I'm like in one of the streams and people are talking, they're like, this needs to get changed. I'm like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like the shit that people say, it's like, this character needs buffs so badly. I'm like, you do not know how to play this game. Like, right. It frustrates the hell out of me. So I don't know if that's a great topic, at least for today.
Sure.
I think I almost would I wish we had higher quantities of listener feedback, because I would love to get people to send in their list of characters they think need to be adjusted, and then we could give our thoughts on their list. Like, oh, I think this character definitely needs to be adjusted, and like talk about what specifically we think they need, and then be like, oh, this character's fine. Like you just either don't understand the concept of the character or aren't utilizing them to the best of their ability.
Apparently, they're going to look at the first 50 models. That's what is supposed to be looked at.
According to who?
According to their information they gave out to the world.
When did they give that out?
I don't know, sometime during the feed. Couldn't tell you.
They did say multiple times during the stream again that they play tested the first lot of 50 characters as one solid group and then started adding stuff to it. So
oh yeah,
the first 50 is kind of like a bubble, and then everything that came after it was in like a second wave. I never heard them say they were restricting their modifications to the first 50, but I think you could interpret it that way with things they said.
They said they're not touching Spider-Man and Doc Ock.
Doc Ock's a little on the low side, but I don't think he's like apocalyptically bad or anything.
He's just not.
Hulk is definitely worse than Doc Ock.
Oh, certainly.
So, yeah, that's a fair point.
I think any model that is way outside the curve is the idea. Like, which ones just aren't making the cut. And I mean, Doc Ock is right close, but he is kind of outside. He's competing with 3-pointers, though. There's so many good ones.
Sure. But just like every 3-pointer, the only reason you're going to make a list is synergy, affiliation, and name required. So like if you're needed for a Tactus card, you add something to the list nobody else does, or you're needed to get affiliated. This is the only time you're ever going to make a list. And so that's also true of Doc Ock.
I look for models that have the most arms.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, I don't know how you build your list, but first thing I look at is, do you have
number of arms?
3+ arms? So he always makes my list.
So, how many models do you think have more than 2?
It's hard to know right now.
It's hard to know. Holy shit.
I also count wings.
I am proud to say that every model in this game has an above average amount of arms.
Nice.
Unless you're counting my Daredevil model, who I haven't glued the second arm onto yet.
You can borrow an extra. I have 3 arms on my Daredevil.
I actually just bought 2 of everything and glued an extra set of arms on everybody, so they knew I meant business.
They're very fighty.
How
Yeah.
could you lose?
My opponent asked me why, and I said, because my guys will have more arms than my opponents.
Just by the virtue of number of arms.
Yeah. Friend of mine was talking about playing D&D, and when people, like, do everything they can to talk the game master into giving them an advantage because reasons, and that they don't deserve. And so, eventually, in this situation, what usually happens is either the GM is a pushover, and will just let people get away with anything, or they tell them, no, you're a fucking idiot, you can't do that. And so, and sometimes you just get tired of arguing with them because you just want to play the game and you don't want to deal with them complaining that they're not getting their stupid bonus they want. So, one of these people was unhappy that the damage scaling for the weapons in the game wasn't favorable to the weapon he wanted to use. And so, for example, like a dagger does a D4 damage, a short sword does a D6, a long sword does a D8, and like a great sword does 2D6. And so it's like the example of the spread. So a spear does 1d8 damage. And so he was arguing that the trident he was using should do 3d8 damage because it's just 3
spears.
And I was like, well, I mean, the man is not completely wrong here, but he obviously is just trying to abuse the system, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, no, tridents don't do 3d8 damage, they do 1d8 damage, it says in the book. And he's like, all right, well, what if I got a flail, right? And so the flail is a stick with a bunch of chains on the end, and they're attached to like little spiky balls. So he's like, all right, well, I'm going to remove the spiky balls from my flails. He's like, all right. And I'm going to replace all of them with long swords. So when I hit the flail into somebody, it's got 9 heads, so it's going to do 98 damage. And he's like, sure. That's fine. He's like, so he spends like 200 gold in his early game character to make this stupid fucking weapon that's just 9 long swords taped together, just swinging it around. And so he just gave him like a -4 to hit for each sword on the end of the flail. So he never hit anything with it. And he's like, 23 is like, that misses, because he was doing the math on the back end. He's like, why does that miss? He's like, you're not sure. He just seems to really easily avoid your attacks. It's like, so he's the fucking guy played with this stupid ass fucking weapon for like 3 game sessions where he just threw it in the garbage.
Oh my god.
It's like, what an idiot. Oh man. Anyway, are you guys ready to re-record this podcast?
Did
okay.
Brandon, did I share with you, or did you see the one about the Ring of Nullification, the D&D thing? Did you see that?
Is this the apocalyptically bad thing that happened?
No,
No, I don't think I've heard this then.
So the group acquired the Ring of Nullification, and they acquired it because they needed to do this trick where you would stick this little scroll through the Ring of Nullification so it would unlock, right? It was like a magically locked scroll. So if you tried to rip it open, it would just burn. And so they had to put it through the ring that a wizard had. And so after they were done with this, they didn't know what to do with it. And so the rogue thought, well, there were no firearms in the game, but they did have cannons. And so what he did was he had the wizard shrink cannonballs down with like a shrinking spell of some sort, and then he had this like bag full of cannonballs, and then he would put the cannonballs in a blowgun, and he put the Ring of Nullification on the end of the blowgun, and he would just go, and he said, well, with the acceleration that he was giving the ball, if it was actually flying with that much acceleration and instantly increasing in mass, it would be putting out like 1,700 foot-pounds of force, right? Functionally a cannonball. And he's like, can I make a cannon blowgun to shoot at people? And the GM was like, fuck. like
yeah, he's like, well, I have to just say no because technically the answer is yes.
Yeah.
No, there's really fun stuff you can do in D&D when you use weaponized. They call it weaponized D&D.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that people do with this.
Yeah.
One of the old timey favorites is a lot of people know there's a bag of holding, which is just basically it's like a backpack that's like got a 10-foot room inside of it, so it's extra dimensional space.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the upgraded version called the Portable Hole, which is like twice as big, but also is like the Looney Tunes black circle. You can put it on a wall and reach through it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's both in one. So when you reach into it when it's not on a surface, it's like a super portable, it's a super bag of holding. And when you put it on a surface, you can reach through it like it's the Looney Tunes hole. And so the thing is, though, if you put an extra dimensional space inside of an extra dimensional space, the two spaces cannot coexist, and they rip a hole in the universe and it creates like a little black hole. It sounds worse than it is, but it's still pretty devastating. It can kill you, even as like a high level character, by standing next to somebody that's dumb enough to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's people have weaponized. There's like, well, I'm going to get high enough ranks in crafting that I can make my own portable hole and bag of holdings. And they build an arrowhead, and they roll up the portable hole into this little tube, and they put it inside the arrow shaft.
Mm-hmm.
And then just ahead of it, they put a tiny bag of holding over the arrowhead. And so when on the arrow impacts, it forces the portable hole into the bag of holding, which triggers the black hole effect. And then they just make 100 of these arrows. And then you have a high-level archer that shoots like 12 arrows around, and he's just like black holing entire enemy squads, like before they even get a turn, because he's a dex-based character, so he always goes first. And he's like, he's like Legolas shooting like nuclear bombs at people, and you're like, oh my god. And then you're like, well, that's got to be prohibitively expensive, but like at super high-level D&D, it really isn't. Like you can afford to do this for like, it's like 20 grand an arrow, which sounds like a lot, but I mean, you can recover that much money. Especially when you shoot, like, these giant, horrible, like, dragon things with it.
I was going to
say. Oh, look, we got the dragon's horde. We only expended 5 arrows.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's fun stuff like that. And then there's people that try and take it way, way too far. And you're like, nope, this is clearly beyond. Like, they try to use the argument that things have momentum in D&D. It's like, it's a turn-based game. There's no such thing as momentum.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, I'm getting messages.
Did you set off a trap?
EJ's messaging me.
Oh.
Okay, sorry. Hopefully he's not going to spam message me or anything. Are you guys ready to podcast?
Yarp.
Narp.
Yarp. Am I puffing right now? Puff, puff. Am I doing it?
You weren't. Now you moved it. Now it's doing it.
No. I moved it away. Is it bad?
I know. No, you're fine. You were fine. Now you've probably messed it up.
Okay. Is it bad now?
Okay, so again, for the last time, the way this works is when your breath exhalation is hitting the microphone.
Right. I know that.
And so if it's at all in front of your face or below your nose, it's going to do it. And so if you're just pushing into random spots, that's not how you stop it. You want to get it above your mouth line, usually, is the easiest way, and out of like the direct exhalation of your mouth. Because if it's below your mouth, then your nose exhalation will hit it.
It sure doesn't feel like it should be. We'll see.
You sounded fine so far.
Okay.
Okay. Where's my... Oh, there it is. I'm going to spell it the best way.
Oh, no.
Womp womp.
I thought that was a good one. That was a good opening fun fact.
Fun?
It was good.
Fact.
Jeremy, did you know where I was going with that? I felt like you knew what was coming.
I honestly did not.
Oh, okay. You were just playing along,
No.
and you were like, oh my god.
Yeah, no, I honestly did not get the dad joke that was about to hit me in the face. It was a good one.
The best ones are just the fucking live salmon that just slap you right across the face. Like, Jesus Christ.
I honestly thought you had like some actual information that was going to be cool.
Me
like,
have information?
wait, I was like,
Oh,
well,
man.
I mean, I'm the fuck yeah, Mortal Kombat, give it to me. What it is. Oh.
Yeah, so I'm having trouble naming the episodes at this point, so I'm going to start just doing a dad joke at the start of every episode,
Oh, God.
and we'll just name it after that.
Womp womp.
Well, at least it'll be the fallback name, because normally I try and come up with something we say during the podcast, but sometimes I either forget to write it down or I just forget to do it, And so yeah, that'll be our fallback podcast.
Dude, I am super psyched about this Mandarin translation thing. This has to happen.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah, this is gonna be good.
It'll be great for just a little filler episode.
Mhm.
Like we just we need to fill like 10 minutes. Like I just throw that in there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've been slacking pretty hard on topics lately, so I think we're gonna get back to crunchy topics a little bit more because we've been doing a ton of just like we'll just talk about the news, and that's fine and all when we have news, but when we don't have news, I just feel like we're dragging. All right. Oh yeah, end time. I never put the end time. 2.36 question mark. Oh, there was something I wanted to ask you guys. What was it? Oh, first, get this out of the way. Parker, you coming over on Sunday? Because the Chiefs game is a night game. Are you gonna come watch the game?
It's a night game away.
Yes.
What time does this?
7:20 p.m.
I think that'll be awesome. Yeah, I do not know if we'll be able to be there for kickoff, but yeah.
Well, I was gonna say if you're gonna come, I want you to come before the game starts.
Oh, why?
And we can do dinner. And Jeremy, I was also going to invite you. I can cook up some steaks, and we can just make a night of it, hanging out at my place, eating steaks, watching football. And then after football, we can work on models.
What time's the game?
Or you can. It starts at 7:20.
Let
me confirm, because for some reason I've been brain dead about this year. I don't really pay attention to the fucking start times. I've been messing this up. I kept asking Jason all preseason. I was like, "Are you going to the preseason game?" He's like, "It's in like fucking San Francisco." I was like, "What? Are you sure?" Like, I just misread the schedule every week for a month. Yes, it is. It is in Baltimore. Starts at 7:20 p.m. our time. And so I was gonna say, you guys should show up at like 6, maybe 6:30, and then I'll grill up some steaks, and then we'll eat them right before the game, and then we'll enjoy the game with lots of liquor, and then we'll work on models.
Yeah, I'll have to check into that, but that would be cool.
That does sound awesome. I'll find out.
Yeah. Also, I can make a killer steak.
You do have a good steak. I think
I remember last time you came over and you had one of those things like, "Did you cook this?" And I'm like, "Oh damn it, he hates it."
No, you have that pan of Sidorak, which is cursed, and it makes perfect steaks.
It's a $9
something bad is on
Amazon
it.
Prime skillet. Like it's just a pan. You have to know how to use
Pan
it.
of Sidorak? Why?
Yeah.
Why do you hate it so much?
Well, because
No, it's great.
It's really
Cast
great
iron.
and delicious. I'm just
If
guessing
you're
it's
gonna
cursed.
if you're gonna cook meat indoors, you need a cast iron skillet.
Yes.
That's just how meat works.
It doesn't drop temperature. It's so fucking big. It
Yeah.
just holds it.
That's actually a problem because sometimes when you turn, it's like lower temp. You lower the temp 10 minutes later. It's like this is burnt to shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's like that thing holds temp. Yeah, the trick is just you just season it and cook it right. That's the trick. I've tried marinating steaks. Doesn't work. It just puts salt on it.
Yep.
Salt and pepper. Maybe a little bit of
plenty
garlic.
of seasoning. Yeah.
All right, but you guys need to let me know in advance because I need to buy the steaks.
Okay, I'll find out tomorrow.
And then you guys can just bring like either beer or chips or something, snacks for the game.
I'll just bring my kids.
Okay.
They'll eat
they
your
can
snacks.
they can stay outside.
They'll stay with the dogs. Where are your kids? They were eaten.
We do have those toddler gates.
Oh, Jesus.
You've been here since we've had the toddler gates, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think you were here when we first got them, actually. Yeah, so we just put the dogs in the other room and shut
yeah.
the gates.
The dog corral.
But yeah, I don't want to be like struggling to get the food done before the game starts because last time I like missed kickoff. I was like trying to run between the rooms to keep cooking and like also like watch the game. So I want to be like at worst eating when kickoff happens. I don't want to be like struggling to get food done.
I can tell you that I just realized that because of my weekend, it may be unlikely. And I'll give you a clear shake tomorrow. I won't try to string you along.
I will give you some Chips Ahoy's that you can give your wife.
The problem is actually not Sarah. It's all the stuff I have to do this weekend. So
just don't do it.
that would be nice.
Oh, there was a question about MCP I wanted to ask you guys though. I can't remember what it was. Oh yeah, Parker. I don't know if I told you. I know I told Jeremy. Not tomorrow, but next Thursday on the 23rd, we're going to do the Magneto Ultimate Encounter at the shop. It's called
really?
Mutant Masterworks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Magneto's, trying to use a nuclear device to like threaten the world and whatever. So you have to go in and like get the nuclear device away from him. And it's like Super Magneto. It looks like it's gonna be fun. So if you can get there at a semi-reasonable time, we can do that.
So it's an Ultimate Encounter, not one of the like where you play both sides.
Right. We also have the Separation Anxiety or Organized Play Kit, which I haven't scheduled yet. I kind of want to put it on the calendar, but I think it's with the pre-release happening this month, the dates are all fucked up. I might push it to next month because I'm working most of the way through this weekend because fucking Magic.
The money printing machine is still active.
I don't know what you mean by that, but they still make garbage ass Magic cards. I honestly don't know how well Magic's doing.
Really?
Because like they sell cards, but you know how it is with like a company gets way too big and they're trying to support way too big of an umbrella with like a small company. And so like Hasbro is basically underwater at this point. And so the only profitable revenue stream they have is Wizards. And Wizards is profitable on its own. Like fine, like the D&D books, the figures, all that shit, they make money off that stuff. But it's like Wizards, and then that's owned by WizKids, which is also owned by Hasbro. And like Hasbro doesn't do anything anymore. All they have is Wizards. Like they don't really make HeroClix anymore. They don't do like a bunch of their board games are out of production. Mm-hmm. Like they don't do anything. And so all of that corporation conglomerate is held up by Wizards. And that's just, I don't know if that's enough. And you can tell exactly when it started happening because Wizards started making all these weird like sealed product things that are like $200 each and trying to sell that shit. Was like, here's 5 Magic cards, please spend $250. And they're like, we need money right now. It's very odd. So yeah, I think they're probably doing okay, but yeah, I don't. They're certainly not super profitable for a store. It's okay. The margins are just so razor thin that there's not really that much money to be had.
Is there still a demand for the cards? I mean, are people playing the game?
No, like Magic still happens. It's the most popular card game still by a long shot. But like from a store perspective, in my opinion, the ideal situation is to under order and sell out. That's your goal. Because if you get left with anything, like we over order something and we sit on like 10% of the product we ordered, we lost money.
That's really hard to like when you put every game store in that position. Because
there's like card stores pop up and close all the time.
Yeah. Like
there's a ton of them that will like open and close 6 months later. And part of it is that they don't have like a reliable customer base, but there's just not that much money in it, and businesses like aren't cheap. Like you need a ton of startup revenue. And then when they realize that they're making like 10% over cost, like, oh, this is not sustainable, they immediately close. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them will get into the trap of like, oh, well, I'll just have to sell stuff online to move enough volume. And then your man hours skyrocket. And so you're and then you try and sell even more stuff online to make up for your increased overhead. And then your margins shrink because you're trying to undercut people to sell more. And it's just this weird cycle. Like, there's a reason that there's like 3 big warehouses that do Magic cards and nobody else. Because they have such an infrastructure in place to get that done to make those profit margins. And like one guy was talking to me, like he watches a YouTube channel and there's this guy that he makes money off of buying new sets of Magic as an individual and selling them. And he sells the singles on like his online marketplace and he sells them like through TCG Play or whatever it is. But he cracks 400 boxes of Magic every time a new set comes out. He pulls out the rare and just dumpsters the rest of it. And then he sells all of those cards on TCG Player. And he does like normal stamp letter shipping, and he makes like $1,000. But he spends like we were talking about, like to sort the cards and inventory them, upload them, make the auctions, which is mostly automated to be fair. The auction part isn't hard because you're doing it through a wholesaler. And then to actually package them, ship them, address them, deliver them to the U.S. Post Office. I mean, you're probably looking about 200 hours of labor, I would guess, at minimum. Because just if you think about it, there's 400 booster boxes. So 400 booster boxes times 36 packs is 14,400 booster packs that you have to open, pull one card out, and then the goal is you would also look for any like high dollar uncommons, but those are pretty rare. You maybe couple a box. And so you'll pull out about 14,000 cards, alphabetize them, and list them after inventorying them, and then sell them, like physically package them and send them out. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, how is that worth your fucking time? Yeah. Gross.
Do not want.
Yeah,
Do
just
not
think about it,
want.
like for you to open a booster pack, pull a card out, put it down in a pile, because there's like 80 or so rares, I think, in each set. Maybe more, I don't know, somewhere around 80, I think. Maybe it's actually probably more like 50. But even if you just had a 50 card layout in front of you and you just cracked 14,000 packs in a row, that's at least 3 to 5 seconds each, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 14,400 divided by, we'll just call it 5 seconds. That's, it's times. 72,000 seconds. 1,200 minutes. 20 hours. 20 hours of labor just to open the packs and put them in piles.
If you're doing it that fast, that's like
5 seconds is quite low. Yeah, it's probably more than that. I mean, you can get into a rhythm. You can probably do 5 seconds for like small streaks, but then you have to like stop and open a new box, throw trash out, take a piss. Like it adds up. But yeah, it's just dumb.
And then when you're done, you have cards. That's what you got.
Yeah. Well, the silly thing is, like, you think about all this and like how ridiculous this is. Like, why wouldn't you just print fake ones? Like, it'd be so much easier to actually just make like counterfeit cards. Like, there's a reason that these counterfeit cards are in circulation. Wish.com, you can buy Magic cards right now. Pack fresh.
Oh my god. Can you really? I wonder if you can.
Oh yeah, no, I see Wish ads on Facebook because people around me, because I have my phone on me at the game store, people around me are talking about Magic cards all day long, and so like my Facebook Wish ads will pop up as like Magic cards and butt plugs, and that's like all I ever fucking get. I told Tyler about this, and he was like, yeah, same thing, man. Like, I'm at school all day, and then I come here, so it's just like I see like Pokemon miniatures and like sex toys, and that's all I see. Yeah, it's the fucking voice recognition algorithm they have. It's like they just want to sell people butt plugs and fake Magic cards. But yeah, it's quite annoying. But yeah, because just think about it, like the people are talking about like, oh, well, you'd have to have like a printing setup so sophisticated you could like perfectly copy Magic cards. I'm like, you realize they started printing these in the 90s, right? Like, it's not exactly rocket science. These printers exist. It's not like the US Mint. It's not like they designed a whole new system. They went to a printer and said, we want you to make us cards that look like this.
Yeah.
And they made them. Like, you could go buy one of those fucking machines and print out hundreds of thousands of cards in a month and then sell them, and your cost to produce is like pennies on the dollar, because you're only printing cards that are in like the $10 to $20 range, because you don't want to have the scrutiny of like $100+ card. It's like same thing for counterfeiting money. You don't want to counterfeit hundreds, you want to counterfeit 20s, because then nobody's going to check a 20. And you can make so many of them that nobody will ever think about it. Because when you open your wallet, what does everybody have? A bunch of 20s. Like, they don't have a bunch of hundreds in their wallet generally.
Says you.
It's also,
Benjamins.
exactly. It's also easier to get people to break 20s for you, so you can get real money.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So you'd print like, I don't know, 6,000 in a day, I would guess, because the printing sheets are like 150 card sheets. So you just print like, sure, I'll print off 100 sheets today. Okay, cut them in a stamp, like throw them through the dryer for 2 minutes. Like, just so they get a little scuffed up. Boom.
I don't know why.
They're paying less than $5 a sheet, I would assume. So let's do the math. All right, so
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know why I'm talking about this. I
was going to say, you've gone down a real rabbit hole here.
All right, so 150 cards divided by $5? No. So that's like a little over 3 cents a card, I think, is a safe bet. And then you're selling them at $10 each, which is assume probably minimum. So we'll just basically call it $10 profit then, because you could sell them easily. You would just print cards worth more than $10. So 150 times 100 sheets in a day. That's like $150,000 in cards you could probably make in a day if you just had one of these machines. The problem is unloading the cards, because you have to find somewhere that will buy them in large enough quantities to make it worth it. So what you probably do is you just build up a big inventory of cards, and then you sell them online and in like big globs, and so when people put in an order, you just go pull the cards out of your inventory. Anyway, fun times.
Now that we covered that.
Yeah.
Now I can sleep.
Oh my god. Let's
All
wrap,
right.
wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.